Hey folks, before we jump into the episode, a little bit up top, we needed to take a couple of weeks off. Tim's going to be traveling abroad, and I just frankly need some time alone. So we thought rather than leave you with no episode at all, we would pull from the archives a Patreon exclusive movie episode and put it here out on the main feed. And Tim, we're going to announce it in the show because I'm sure we did it in the episode. But folks, if you haven't read the title, Tim, tell them what they're in for.
We're going to do Face Off. 1997's best movie, Face/Off.
Yeah, well, we're not going to do Face Off. They're going to hear Face Off. We already did Face Off. Face Off happened a while ago.
Sure. We'll be presenting Face Off.
That's right. Tim and Garrett present Face Off. That's an excellent way to put it. Do you remember much about this episode?
No. And frankly, here's the problem. This is a movie that we never discussed up until that point. Obviously, on the music show, we discussed it quite a bit, but didn't discuss it up until that point. Haven't discussed it afterward. And how do we not talk about this movie every day? When we decided to do this, I got so excited to revisit Face/Off, 1997's best movie.
Yeah, folks, hold on to your faces. We'll say it. It's a hell of an episode, and we'll be back in a week or two. I don't remember what Tim's plans are, but as soon as we are, we'll return with our regularly scheduled broadcast. But until then, enjoy Face Off, a Patreon exclusive.
This is CBS on Paramount Plus.
The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Welcome, folks, to another Patreon exclusive episode on movies. Thanks for finding us here. This is episode number 680. It's January 2024. We're talking about Face Off. I'm Tim. No, you're Tim. I'm Garrett. Let's get into it. Tim, how have you been, man?
I have been fantastic, Garrett. I did not need to watch this movie. I watched it 4 times. I am so pumped for this.
4's arguably too many. End to end? Like, not serially, but every time you sat down to begin it, did you end it?
One time I watched it in halves at the gym, but the other 3 times I did, in fact, sit down and watch it end to end.
That is wild, because this is a 2+ hour movie.
Yeah, 2 hours and 19 minutes. I was not expecting that. In my head, this was like a cool, 88 minutes.
Well, it's because it moves, Tim. It's not like one of those slow, pokey movies you go and try to watch at the theater and you fall asleep. Looking at you, Magnolia. This baby moves. No, I love Magnolia. It's a great film. PTA
does drag, though.
You could cut that whole Frank T.J. Mackey bit. What's that about? God, it's so good. Best acting you'll ever see Tom Cruise do. Anyway, not why we're here. So you've been watching Face Off just mathematically more than you haven't been over the last week, which is fantastic. Wish you'd put that much effort into the music show that people actually tune into. But I guess folks are paying for this, so if you're going to put your money and your time anywhere, this makes sense. And folks, again, we don't advertise this. This is a underground program as much as it humanly can be while being made available to the entire world for a nominal fee. So if you found the show, congratulations as always. Get ready to have your face blown the fuck off. Tim, you didn't ask, but I'll go ahead and say it. I've been doing slightly less good, uncharacteristically ungood.
Oh, no.
And yeah, I appreciate the fake concern. I can't get into the nitty gritty of it, but I'll give some listeners some valuable tips I've learned over the last few weeks that might help them avoid some confusion I've had recently. 1, it is 100% illegal. That is a misdemeanor at least to claim to be an attorney if you are not one. There's no excuses.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I thought you could act as an attorney and say, I'm acting as an attorney, I'm therefore an attorney. I'm not supposed to talk about it. Never mind. Number 2, there is a noticeable difference in the weight of gold-plated metals and solid gold. People will notice.
I know. Archimedes noticed.
Especially if you run out of tungsten, which is very, very close to the same density and weight of gold, but not quite. Not quite. Last one. Should you find yourself in a bet to sail around the Horn of Africa, decline it.
Well, even if you're going to lose, making that bet? Is it with a pirate?
I think I'm ready to say decline it, even if you're going to lose face, no matter the scenario. It's just not worth it. Even if you win, do you win? Again, these are just tips for the listener. Do with them what you will. I wish somebody had said the same to me. We've already said it, cat's out of the bag. We're here to watch Face Off, but before we do that here on this show, we in spirit with the music show we do on the main feed. If you haven't found it, WIHTA, Why I Hate This Album, go check it out. In the spirit of that show, we like to begin by setting the stage. Tim, do you hate this movie? I think I know the answer, but do you hate this movie?
No, Garrett, I don't hate this movie. I'm not an idiot. It is fair to say that I liked, even loved this movie. Garrett, I may be romantically in love with this movie. We'll find out by the end of the show. This movie is great. What about you, Garrett? On the penalty of a slap, you seem like you hate fun. Do you hate this movie?
You're not all wrong, Tim. I do hate fun, but in this instance, I'm grandfathered in. I love this movie. I, too, might be in love with this movie. These are all rational statements adult men can make about a film.
About this film?
I'm right there with you. Well, sure. Yeah, maybe not Anaconda. Maybe Hello There, Baby Bird. See our now legendary episode 621 on Anaconda. I love this movie in a way I can't even fully articulate, but we're going to try to over the next 2 hours because I don't think it is hyperbole to say with a straight face. Tim, how straight is my face?
It is horizontal, perfectly horizontal, perfectly level.
I also would have. I realize we should have pre-showed this. I was looking for very straight.
Oh,
anyway,
so straight. We'll edit that together. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I doubt anyone will notice at all. Wow. Anyway, I could say it with a straight face, no hyperbole whatsoever. Tim, we might know too much about this movie.
Now, I don't know if it's too much about it.
I don't know. As I sit here holding my sequenced Nicolas Cage pillowcase, I question whether or not we have fallen too deep into the rabbit hole. Can we see the forest through the trees? Do we over-glamorize Face Off? Is there any chance of that? Okay. No. We asked it. That's the responsible thing to do. Now let's put that to bed right now. You don't hate it. I don't hate it. We're both deeply in love with it. It's filmmaking at its highest level. John Woo, apex of his career. Same for Nicolas Cage. Same for John Travolta. Definitely same for Nick Cassavetes.
Yeah.
More on that in a bit.
Okay, but we should say this. It's not a good movie. This is amazing because this is the rare movie that is it's not good. It is in fact like objectively bad, but that in no way prevents it from being great.
Yeah, and listen, I don't want to be naive. I get what you're saying when you say it's bad. So forgive this question. What do you mean bad?
I mean that if you brought in anyone, any single human being to read this script, they would have, without question, changed every bit of it. And they would have been right to change every bit of it. And the movie would have been worse for every one of those decisions. That's what I mean. It is... Okay. It is so perfect, but it's bad. Like, it's okay. So great.
When I say bad, here's what I mean. The premise, the acting, the dialogue, the face waterfalls, the child abduction and murder, all of it is bonkers.
It is suspect, sure.
It's taken individually, you would never put it into a good movie. But collectively, performed with these people, made with these hands, this movie somehow is perfect.
Yeah, it's the Mr. Burns disease effect. There's so much dumb bullshit trying to get through that door at once that it just pushes the whole house forward, as the metaphor goes. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's move on.
The real reason I think it works is that while it is all immensely silly and none of it should work, everybody tried really, really... They're not just trying hard, like they're putting in a tremendous amount of effort.
Mm-hmm. Too much effort.
Nobody's... Arguably too much effort for something this silly, but the end result speaks for itself. This movie, while considered to be completely insane by almost everybody, is universally loved.
Yeah, and it should be.
I didn't read any critic reviews, but if I did, I'm sure they would say universally loved.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Okay, yeah, we'll get there. Now, Tim, before we learn about this movie, the making of it, and there's so much online, I'm going to obviously let you run through the history. When you're done, if there's anything I collected that you didn't have, I'll pick up your spare parts. But before we get there, I'm super curious. This came out in our childhoods. What is your personal history with the face-off?
I distinctly remember the first time I watched this, Garrett. I was 12. It was spring break, 1998, Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. I was sitting on a couch at Elena Perez's house with the boys. Garrett, Joe, Robert, Evan, Adele, Bobby, Mike, probably should bleep some of those names, but I was there with the boys, with the crew, as we, I don't know, presumably called herself. Earlier that year, we discovered that both of Elena's parents worked all day, had mysteriously large amounts of vodka, and did not seem to notice that we filled her backyard with cigarette butts. We were cool, and they were pretty cool too, Garrett. I watched this movie that spring several times with the boys. I've probably watched it 20 times since then. But man, there's always gonna be something magical about that year, Garrett. It was, I don't want to say, well, I don't know, Garrett. That was a good year for me. Spring 1998, I was truly alive.
It's wild how similar our stories are going to be here.
Yeah. We should also acknowledge, of course, that we have been talking about this and watching this together a number of times, and we've both listened to the How Did This Get Made episode on this movie, although for me, it's been at least several years since I heard it. I intentionally did not listen to it for this so as not to steal. That being said, the term face waterfall, coined by Paul Scheer on that show, may make an appearance. We should acknowledge that as well. Although I have done a lot of thinking about that very specific thing this past week, and I'm not 100% sure that that's exactly right. But we'll get there.
Do you want to call? Okay. I have alternative names as well. But I do want to give Paul his credit.
Yes.
Face waterfall, one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, definitely the funniest thing he's ever said. Garrett, your history with this movie, I have heard it similar to mine.
Oh my goodness. All right, Tim. Well, for me to talk about Face Off, I have to first talk about Con Air. And so I saw Con Air probably June 14th, 15th, 1997. I'm 14 years old. I'm in Cape Cod on the last vacation I'd ever take with my parents. And
their choice or yours?
God's. Anyway, I saw Con Air, and obviously we're not here to talk about Con Air, but we can state unequivocally, great movie.
Yeah, we can state unequivocally coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I see Con Air it might have even been like June 20th, but thereabouts. But here's the thing. Face Off comes out 2 weeks later. And so the next time I go to the movies, still at Cape Cod on vacation with my family, it's for another Nicolas Cage movie. I saw this movie, Tim, on either June 29th or June 30th, 1997. And you were describing it correctly. When you see this film as a young lad, there's something magical about it. It's transformative. And for me, to see it on the heels of Con Air was almost just too much for a young boy to take. I thought that film was this from now on. It's just Nicolas Cage being awesome. I got you a bunny. It's good stuff. But just like you, sitting on that couch with your good friends whose names we've definitely redacted at this point, I sat there with my father, enamored, connecting over generations for the first time, maybe ever. We looked at each other and we understood one another in that moment as enjoying the fuck out of this movie.
Yeah, I'm sure. If there was one movie I could predict that Fred would like, it would be this movie.
Oh my God. It's the one, well, that's not true. There's 3 movies you can put on at any given moment and he will watch start to finish. This is one of them, though.
This is the only one that does not involve Mr. Steven Seagal.
That's not true. It's a Seagal movie, it's a Jean-Claude movie, and it's this. Bloodsport.
It's a shame that John Woo never got a hold of Seagal.
Yeah, before he got all fat and Russian.
Nah, he was always a monster.
Yeah, always, from day one.
He thought of himself as Nic Cage's character in this movie. He just went around and behaved that way. Fuck that guy.
He actually was the real-life Castor Troy.
Yep.
He planted a biological weapon in the LA Convention Center.
Yeah. I really hope his shoelaces get caught in an escalator.
Okie dokie, Tim. That's your history. That's my history. That is to say, it was critical for the development of both of us in our youths and has crafted largely who we are as men today. That brings us to the history of the movie, and that is your department, my friend. So I will allow you to take me on a magic carpet ride of adventure and production notes as we learn how this movie came to be. And for once, I know most of the details here. So I'm excited for our listeners to hear just how this crazy-ass movie got made.
So this was originally written as a spec script by Mike Werb and Michael Collery. Both of those are definitely fake names. Mike Werb, he had written such films as The Mask, Darkman 3, Die Darkman Die, or possibly D Darkman D, Laura Croft, Tomb Raider, Curious George, and Firehouse Dog. Michael Collery, for his part, also wrote Firehouse Dog and Laura Croft Tomb Raider, as well as The CW's Professionals, starring Tom Welling and Brendan Fraser. Now, this movie, okay, I'm going to go to this first. The inspiration for this film script. A direct quote. I went back, I read the interviews. This is a direct quote. Every word of this, word for word out of these crazy men's mouths. A friend of mine had been in a hang gliding accident, and they had to remove his entire face, reconstruct all his bones and tissue, and then put it back on. We thought if that can happen, then why not switch with somebody? To which I say, that did not happen.
Yeah, I was going to put it nicer. You misunderstood. That definitely didn't happen, though.
This movie, it was originally going to be set in the future, where I guess the face-off technology would have been more plausible. John Woo said, nah, it's fine. Who gives a shit? It was originally going to be set 100 years in the future, where the homeless occupy the Golden Gate Bridge. There are flying cars, and chimpanzees carry out all manual labor, which is presumably how humanity got so good at face transplant surgery, because those mean bastards will rip your face right off. They'll rip your ass off, too. I'm not even sure exactly what that means, but it'll happen.
Yeah, I've heard it described in medical textbooks.
You should stop reading medical textbooks. One suit that worked on the production side of this initially said that he didn't think this movie was going to work, at least not with the technology available at the time, because he said the makeup would have had to be too extensive to make the two lead actors look like one another, which...
One of the quotes I heard from one of the writers was, "Did you read the script?"
Even if you haven't, like, your note should be, why don't the actors just switch play? It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
They play each other, asshole.
Yeah. Paramount
God,
wanted the bomb to become sentient. It's unclear what that means. I assume they wanted it to get hit by lightning, like Jamie Foxx's excellent film Stealth.
Oh, God. Or Short Circuit 1 or 2.
Yeah.
God, lightning's responsible for so much sentient appliances. They just felt like there wasn't enough of a cool robot sidekick. Wouldn't it be neat if that bomb, I don't know, had a hip but laid back attitude, like you didn't really care what you thought, but you were glad he was there? It's a biological weapon with an attitude.
Paramount also wanted 27-year-old Johnny Depp to have the Travolta role opposite Nic Cage. Depp was initially excited to be in an ice hockey movie, which for some reason was his interpretation of the title, and then was immediately out when he read the script and was like, no, I'm good.
Man, you have done your homework. I am so pleased by these anecdotes.
Also considered for the roles, Garrett, Sly Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay, what does that look like? Let's actually think through it for a minute. Who's who? Stallone is Castor Troy.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. The weird thing about that is in 1997, those two men were of like wildly different sizes.
Oh, yeah.
So...
But think of the line readings. I could eat a peach for hours. What? I could eat a peach for hours.
Well, it's also great because in this movie, and in one moment of, and we'll get to it, but of like genuinely like impressive acting, Nicolas Cage does an impression of Nicolas Cage doing a John Travolta impression, doing a Nicolas Cage impression. And like somehow
it's crazy.
It actually works. The very idea of Arnold Schwarzenegger doing his impression of what Sly Stallone doing an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression is, it boggles my mind.
Look at me, I think I am huge and I am buff and everybody worships me, but I am not, I am puny and little.
It would honestly be a up and at them situation.
All right, Arnold, the line is, they haven't found the body yet. But he's so small and tiny, of course, they're never going to find the body. Okay, good take. They haven't found the body yet. That's what I'm saying. He's tiny and they'll never find him in the ocean. He fell off of a large oil rig and he's somehow going to swim his way to the valet on the beach. It's a very confusing scene. All right. I feel as though maybe you don't understand. Cameras are rolling. Oh, fuck. Yeah, so maybe that wouldn't have worked.
Worked so well.
What if I told you to suck my tongue?
What? You know what? That wouldn't have worked. He does not have the attitude for that. Michael Douglas and Harrison Ford was another option. Obviously, Michael Douglas would have been the Castor Troy role in that. He's way too skeevy to do anything else.
What's funny, at first I was thinking Ford is Castor Troy, but that doesn't make any sense. You're right. He has to be, well, hold on now. We're not thinking about this, Tim. Okay, Michael Douglas who is going to be who, though, right? Because they switch, really.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But I don't think that, like, if you took mugshots of those two guys and you said which one's the cop and which one's the criminal, you got to go Michael Douglas as the Castor Troy.
Yeah. Would you be excited if I let you suck my tongue? Yeah, that's tough.
They also suggested Alec Baldwin and Bruce Willis.
This one's interesting to me because I think you could actually go either way with it.
Yeah, because I would initially have said Bruce Willis should be the cop, but he had also just done that excellent The Jackal movie. You love The Jackal and his portrayal of the Jackal. So, yeah, right. I feel like they both could play cop or criminal.
Okay, who plays a more convincing, before they've done any face swapping, it's the opening of the movie, and we'll get to the actual movie in a minute, folks, but it's the opening of the movie when you meet both of these people. Who's Castor Troy? Who makes the most sense? Alec Baldwin's a lot cooler looking than Bruce Willis, but Bruce Willis is a lot more intimidating than Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
I think it's Bruce Willis with a cool fedora.
Yes. Or like Bruce Willis from Hudson Hawk is what you're describing.
God damn it, that is literally exactly what I'm describing. That's not intimidating to anyone.
What if he does like a bunch of like song numbers though?
I hate that movie so much. Were you the one I watched that with recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, God, I hate you for that. That's entirely your fault in my mind.
Absolutely.
So they got the right people.
Yeah, the weirdest one is the like insistence on Johnny Depp. I do not get that.
Yeah, that would have been a nightmare. That wouldn't have made any sense because it would have been Depp and it would have been Cage.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp is not a believable Sean Archer.
No, and they're not believable as anywhere near the same age.
Yeah, there's that.
Because you would have to have 6 years earlier, a 21-year-old Depp's 6-year-old son. What?
Wait, no. Well, hold on. Oh yeah,
right, because he was 27 when this filmed, so that would have been the 6-year gap in between the opening and when he was playing this character. So that brings him down to 21.
I get that, but isn't Nic Cage like pretty close in age to Johnny Depp?
Oh, maybe. He had to have been like 30-something in this. Yeah. But I feel like Johnny Depp was like a Nic Cage protege. I feel like Nic Cage got him the role in Nightmare on Elm Street, and then I think that Johnny Depp paid for a lot of his tax bill when he bought that T-Rex skeleton or whatever.
Yep. Nope, you're right. Let's keep rolling.
Those are the only ones I have, Garrett. I do want to say also, though, that this came out 24 months after Batman Forever, and it came out 13 months before Saving Private Ryan. And my theory is that this is the perfect bridge between those two movies.
Kinda love that. Let's see. I've got some additional production notes. Let's see if there's any that I want to share. Some of them are more situation specific, but $80 million budget. One of the writers claims that his aunt used to say, "I'll be right back. I just need to go take my face off," which my mother used to say growing up, meaning wash off my makeup. And he said that used to horrify him as a child.
Yeah.
I never really gave it much thought. Let's see. We covered the fact that it was originally set in the future. Oh, it went through a few different directors. Originally, at one point, the director Rob Cohen was attached. You may know him from such hits as Fast and the Furious, The Skulls, and Triple X.
It could have used a little more Triple X vibe.
Oh, I disagree. Then came
the dude Vin Diesel and The Rock. That would have been a good pairing.
Honestly, I'd watch that. Let's see here. Then it was the guy who did Demolition Man, but he wanted to cast both way younger, and everyone universally was like, well, that's one way to ruin the movie. You're out of here.
Stallone and what the fuck? Sly Stallone and Wesley Snipes. There you go. Have a little.
Oh, I like that. Who could have done a better job than Stallone? I really like the Snipes angle. Make one of them black. Really create a whole walk a mile in another man's shoes situation.
Yeah.
Who's hot at the time? Dennis Leary. What? So I'm a black guy. I don't fucking care. I'm still gonna have a fucking cigarette. All right. The rest of these are a little more specific. Let's see. Anything you want to get into regarding our main cast, or do you want to get to the movie itself?
Let's talk just really briefly. I think we should talk about Wu, Travolta, and Cage. Just where they are in their careers here.
Right.
So
put it in context.
John Woo, Hong Kong filmmaker, he kind of defined in a lot of ways the style of 90s action movies a lot with this film. A lot of things from both film and video games like physics and such would come from this movie, which is weird. He did a bunch of movies in Hong Kong in the 80s and early 90s before moving to the US to do Hard Target in 93 with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Broken Arrow, Face Off, Mission Impossible 2, the good Mission Impossible film, Wind Talkers, and Garrett's 11th favorite film of all time, Paycheck, before he would drop out and kind of go back to Asia to do more films there. Although randomly in the past couple of years, he has come back to do some American films that I have never even heard of. Noted heterosexual John Travolta started off, as we all know, with Welcome Back, Kotter. He had a nice run in the 70s and 80s, including most famously Saturday Night Fever and Grease. And then his career just fucking tanked. And it was revived with Pulp Fiction, and then Broken Arrow with John Woo. He did this, and then he went back to being weird.
Hey, Tim.
Yep.
Have you visited Broken Arrow in a minute?
No, I haven't. I do love Christian Slater, though.
It's got a lot of face-off vibes.
Oh, well,
yeah,
that's
it's
exciting.
worth your time. It's Slater really ups it. In fact, if I'm considering a Slater, oh, what's his face? You just said it a moment ago. Wesley Snipes style face-off.
Okay,
I think I could do that.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Slater would have appreciated it. I don't know that he got a lot of work soon after Hard Target. Not Hard Target. I'm sorry. Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
I think he had some legal problems, and then he came out with that terrible film Hard Rain, where he had to ask a judge if he could attend the premiere from jail. He was not allowed.
Good for him. We all know Nic Cage, though, the great actor, the terrible actor, the absolute maniac. David Lynch described him as the jazz musician of American acting, which is simultaneously cripplingly insulting and maybe the best compliment I've ever heard anyone give anyone.
Especially from him.
Since 1982, Nic Cage has been incredibly prolific. At this point in his career, though, he was having a run that I think is only comparable to the Rolling Stones' 1968 to 1972 run, including Leaving Las Vegas in 95, The Rock in 96, Con Air, and Face Off both in 1997. Untouchable 4-film run. I'm going to read to you something that I found on Wikipedia that I'm going to read this word for word. And then I want you to answer the question for me. I'm going to tell you ahead of time, this is going to be my question. How true is National Treasure?
Oh, no.
This is a direct quote written on Wikipedia. At one point in his life, Cage had decided he wanted to develop the philosophical aspect of his nature, and he went on a quest to find the Holy Grail. Cage traveled to England to look for it, but also looked at some areas in the United States. And real quote, what does that mean, Garrett?
I think it's rehab. That would make more sense than what you just said. Or he found it, and we're all fools. It looked like a Dixie cup. I found it on accident. Okay.
I think that's the only important thing to know about Nicolas Cage.
I love it. I think that's the only. Everything else should just be taught in your local public school.
Absolutely.
That brings us to the movie itself, Tim, and I am worried because I, like you, have seen this movie. I watch this movie and have watched this movie at a minimum twice a year.
Yeah.
And it's been out for 30
Just
years.
30 years, yeah.
So I've definitely seen this 50 plus times. So when I was writing my notes down, it was really more about watching and looking at the smaller things. My notes feel cumbersome.
Yeah, but I think it's the details of this movie that really are the most interesting part, right? There's some craziness in the broad strokes, but it's really the small decisions that are in the script and that people decided to do. It's bizarre. Every bit of this is great.
Well, let's get to the movie itself. I'm going to try to take it slow because I'm sure we both have a lot of notes here. We opened with some chimes and a very ominous score that's going to be carried through the entire film. And much like the Family Guy theme, you'll get different takes on the score depending on the situation. And I love it. Not enough of that in modern film. Whooshing credits, Tim. This is something before we even get to a single frame in the film. For some reason in the late 90s through 2001, credits had to whoosh. So they're whooshing in. Everybody, we're learning who we're gonna be watching for the next 2+ hours before we get the reveal. It's Sean Archer. And he's having a good time, having such a great day, hanging out with his boy at the fair, riding a carousel. Okay, now Tim, the first time you saw this movie, and I know you were a young lad, maybe you don't remember, did you for $1 million think what happens next is what would happen next?
Oh, God, no. I mean, it opens strong, Garrett. It's...
I wasn't going to bring it up, but let's talk about it. He has a mustache.
Yeah.
It opens so strong.
Yeah, you can tell. Okay, so it opens in the past, and we know it's the past because Nic Cage, a.k.a. infamous and very recognizable international terrorist Castor Troy, has both a full head of hair and what can only be described as a villainous mustache. It's...
so villainous.
Yes. And the other thing, Garrett, he has a sniper rifle in this park. Now, does he need a sniper rifle or a gun at all? No. He's within basically stabbing distance of this man. There's no reason for any of this. But
he's just standing on a hill with the biggest gun you've ever seen. No one's going to see me.
Yeah, and okay, so the sniper rifle is covered by a blanket. He removes that with what can only be described as the flourish of a bullfighter. And...
Yep.
He sits down, or he lays down, looks through the sights, and he sips from his Diet Mountain Dew, the drink of choice for a rogue gunman, with a straw.
Hold on, pause right there. Dig aside. What happens, and this is what I mean by the details. What happens in this scene is Castor Troy looks at his target, Sean Archer, in the scope. He is lining up the shot to murder this man whom he hates. And he sees that he's with his boy, young Michael. And you see him pause. And you're like, oh, that Castor Troy's not such a monster. He's having a moment of self-doubt. No, Tim. He's parched. He's parched. He's got to wet that beak before he murders that FBI agent.
Absolutely.
So we think.
And to me, this whole setup, it implies that he knew Sean Archer, a.k.a. John Travolta, would be bringing his son to the merry-go-round this day. So he got there early, got his rifle all set up, and then got Garrett-level thirsty. So he was like, what to do here? I've still got 15 minutes. Covers the park rifle that's just laying there with a blanket, runs across the street to 7-Eleven, gets himself that Diet Mountain Dew, and then comes back to, as we all know, murder a child.
Smart guy. It's so crazy. Folks, we've tipped it. Tim just said it. Let's get right to it. He fires to kill Sean Archer, striking him just 2 inches, maybe even 1 inch, just off from the heart. The bullet passes through Sean and into Michael's precious little face.
That's right.
Killing him instantly.
And here's the thing. Castor Troy, terrible assassin. Because, again, he's very close. Not only could he have made the shot, but if he didn't, that's fine. You don't hit every fucking layup or whatever the saying is. Make sure he's dead, right? Do a good...
Double tap that motherfucker.
Do a thorough job at work. Look, whether it's creating spreadsheets in Excel like I do for a living or killing people on merry-go-rounds like the other one of us does, the point is you gotta make sure...
What are you doing with spreadsheets?
It's my job, Garrett. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I bet you really don't. That's the thing. I bet you really don't. I bet you really don't know. I'm sure it's your job. I don't know who you've fooled, but I'm sure you don't know what you're doing. God, that's great.
The point is, he could easily kill this man, and he chooses not to.
That's the thing. At this point, and it's a perfect opportunity to call out some supremely excellent dummy work. So after Michael collapses, having been shot in the face, immediately Sean crawls across the ground, picks up this very obvious fake dummy, and begins cradling it. Tubes out of the toothpaste. Michael's dead. Hey, Castor, why don't you saunter up there and shoot him in the head?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's not like you're having second thoughts because you killed a kid. The kid's dead. You could still kill John Travolta.
Go kill Travolta.
Yes. And as John Travolta is lying there, we get the first of what Paul Scheer has dubbed a face waterfall, where he tenderly runs his fingers down his son's face. And
not true. That's the second face waterfall. I didn't call it out. First face waterfall occurs on the carousel.
You're right. Absolutely. Yep. But okay, so it's a face swipe thing. It looks like when somebody dies in movies and people run their hands down the face to close their eyes.
Doesn't work, by the way. Sometimes it works. Mostly
yeah,
doesn't.
Those eyes often pop up. You are around way too many dead bodies. What percentage would you say it works in?
100% works in 10% of the time. 50% works in 60% of the time. The rest they just pop open like a goddamn doll.
Creepy. But the point is, it would actually have made more sense in this movie for this to be the first time he did this.
Yes. Yes, that would make more sense. But it's not. They establish it on the carousel. And Tim, it feels like you want to take issue with the phrase face waterfall. Do we want to address this right up top?
Yeah, so look, here's the thing. I don't like using somebody else's term. I don't like using somebody else's bit. And again,
feels bad. We've fully credited it.
Yes. To me, though, it really feels like he's doing the thing where he's closing people's eyes.
And well, I can't say that every time.
Well, yeah, no, I know. You said you have some other options for us.
I do. One idea, slight change, finger waterfall.
Okay. Don't love it.
Okay. Face dancing.
Fancing. Yeah. Okay.
Finger dancing. Down the face there.
I feel like you need an acknowledgement that it's on the face.
God, what are you doing? What are you doing with the fingers there? It's a face drag. It's a face swipe.
Face swipe.
Face waterfall's so good. It's a waterfall of fingers down the face, Tim.
Yeah, it is. It is. I just don't...
We're not stealing bits here. We appreciate that it came from Paul Scheer. Listen, you and I have not heard that episode of Face Off by that show in, 8-10 years. And that's the only thing that stands out to either of us. It's that good.
Yeah, it is great. And I will say, I've been doing this to people all week, and I have gotten 100% the same reaction. I've done this to you. I've done this to Yogi, Batman, and 4 of our interns, and every single one of them drew blood with their bites. Yeah. And they were right to. Do not touch somebody's face like this.
It's inappropriate. Honestly, I've been watching not just this movie, but something that's really bothered me recently. Pay attention to movies and television, folks. They're touching faces way more than people are really touching faces in real life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hands on chins and sides of faces. Get your goddamn hands off me.
Yeah, and most people's hands have food. At least most people around this goddamn office. They're greasy.
Yeah.
Smash cut, we're 6 years later. Travolta Prime has been cranked up to 11 this entire time, just in a 24/7 rage. Everybody hates this guy because he is a real cunt.
I love so many tangents, but okay, just to let you know how much of the same page we are on. My first note after smash cut 6 years later, why is Travolta at an 11 screaming at Margaret Cho? So when I think back, I think of Nicolas Cage being the one that's doing all the faces and the I'm Castor Troy and all that great stuff. Great work. But it really is Travolta that's out of his mind in this movie.
It really is.
Whether it's John Travolta as Castor Troy, whether it's John Travolta as Sean Archer or John Travolta as Castor Troy playing Sean Archer, both of them, arguably, Castor Troy, and we're going to get there, is a better Sean Archer than Sean Archer in every measurable way.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I think that they just asked him to meet Nicolas Cage's energy, and he went all in, and good for him.
It's the Tommy Lee Jones effect. When Tommy Lee Jones was asked to be Two-Face, They basically were like, Jack Nicholson did it. He went big. Go for it, Tommy. You got to match Jim Carrey's energy. All right, I will. And you all saw how that worked out.
Works out much better here. That's not actually true. We don't meet him when he's at 11 because he starts out alone and brooding in a very specific John Travolta-y way in his FBI office with his gun out. I assume... I think we're meant to assume he's just teetering on the edge of suicide, or maybe he just tried and had a dry fire, like Man on Fire.
Yeah, absolutely. He is contemplating whether or not to kill himself.
Yes, and then he goes out and he's shouting at his office, "Where is he?" As if he has not been shouting this exact same thing every day for the past 6 years.
Yeah, it's well, and what they're getting to is that Archer wants to make a move. He knows that Castor's going to be leaving the country, and if they don't act now, they're going to lose him. So then we cut to just one of so many pleasurable scenes that are both hilarious and arguably this is the most offensive scene in the movie.
I don't know.
Kind of depends on.
I don't know.
It depends on how you interpret it. We'll get there. But we cut to Castor Troy. He's played by Nicolas Cage, still being Castor Troy as Castor Troy. He is planting a biological weapon of some sort that has far too many like custom graphics for my liking, but that's beside the point.
Oh yeah, they only
get
get worse later.
So he's planting this bomb in the LA Convention Center dressed as a priest, because who could ever suspect a priest of doing anything wrong? And then after he plants the bomb, he finds a choir.
Well, hold on.
And they're singing.
Hold on, Garrett.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, Garrett.
Slow down, everybody.
We need to mention that he sets this bomb for 260 hours. That is under 11 days. So as we go through this, remember that. Keep that number in mind. Less than 11 days. That is, remember, I will mention it later. I will remind you of what the movie will claim happens in a week and a half, because it is shocking.
So by my count, if I'm being generous, this movie takes place over 10 days.
It's a little bit longer than that, because that time runs out probably...
That's true.
It's 2 weeks. This movie takes place over 2 weeks.
That's so generous. And it's still so crazy.
Yes.
Okay, so you're right. He sets a bomb, ostensibly, a bio bomb, to go off in 10-ish days?
Yeah.
First, I didn't even think timers went that long.
None of the ones you've ever set have, no.
Well, it's weird as this is one of the first times ever I went, well, now why would he set it for so many days in advance? But I guess it makes sense. Like, you'd want it to lie in wait. No one would see it coming. But I don't know. It's very odd. Yeah. So back to, he's dressed as a priest. He plants his bomb and begins dancing his way across the convention center lobby.
Right.
Where he finds a choir of teens.
Yeah, they're children. They're
okay.
Mid-teens.
A choir of teens singing Hallelujah. And so for some reason, Nicolas Cage gets behind one of the teens, sexually assaults her, and shouts, "I could eat a peach for hours."
And let me ask you this, Garrett. He's jizzing in those pants, right?
I forgot to mention, the last shot of this is when he looks straight up at the camera and fully orgasms.
Because that's not the last time
method
that's going to happen.
No, but it's definitely the most shocking one, I think.
Yes.
Because it involves what is probably a 19-year-old woman in real life, but she looks very young in the movie.
Yep. Castor's younger brother is Pollux Troy, a role they definitely tried to get Seth Green for, but he was off doing Austin Powers. Pollux has booked them a private jet using his own name for plot reasons, and Nic Cage pulls up in a duster, and we learn that the wind just follows this guy around like some sort of personal storm cloud with Charlie Brown.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm super.
Yeah, he looks great. Every shot of this guy, meticulous. John Woo is an artist.
He's got his gold-plated Desert Eagles with custom dragon pistol grips, his chiclets, what else did he have?
He's got a terrorism box with chiclets, different sunglasses, a knife, some joints, mysterious blue pills. Pretty cool. He also has that gold dragon money clip, and I don't know if you bought yours directly from the production or if it's a replica, but you've been using this since the early 2000s, and I think it is just cool. When we go to Chinese restaurants and you insist on paying with that, they get a little offended. But in every other situation, it's cool.
Okay, back to Sean Archer. They haven't started their siege yet, but they get word, Pollock's fucked up. He used his own name, international terrorist, booked a plane. Yeah, they're watching. And so this is the part that makes me laugh, is you cut back to Travolta, and he says the line, "You can brand the Fourth Amendment on my butt, but we gotta go now." Tim, what does unreasonable search and seizure have to do with anything?
I don't know.
And he's so sassy.
Yes.
I just didn't remember him being so sassy.
Well, he's
right, so folks,
but the problem is he's doing Nicolas Cage energy with the same like John Travolta affect, and so it comes off as you described, so sassy.
It's very funny. And folks, we're like, I don't know, 11 minutes into the movie, and we're at our first, what I would consider to be a movie closing action set piece. And it's in the opening of the movie, ostensibly, lest we forget the child murder.
Yes. There is an
Great
FBI
movie.
agent posing as a flight attendant whomst either Castor Troy or possibly Nicolas Cage just immediately begins to sexually harass, talking about how he's going to eat her peach, saying, and I quote, "If I were to let you suck my tongue, would you be grateful?" And then he sticks out his tongue just as far out of his mouth as he possibly can and kind of like waits for something to happen. I think the only...
Well, something does happen.
It's true, but the only right move in that situation is just to take your hand and grab hold of as much of that tongue as you can and just hold on as he tries to buck you off.
Jesus Christ.
The main point, though, is that Nic Cage is just as bad at kissing as Garrett is reported to be. Entirely different reasons, but equally
I am
clear.
not bad at it. I don't care for it.
Why would they have hired a flight attendant for their terrorist plane, Garrett?
It comes with the plane, Tim.
Okay.
Also, are flight attendants obliged to have sex with their private passengers?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, 2018 and before, absolutely they were.
Dude, that poor FBI agent, she gets the rawest fucking last 10 minutes of life ever.
Mm-hmm. Has to suck
we'll
that
get into
Nic
it.
Cage tongue.
Yeah, so first she gets on this plane. She has to pretend to be a flight attendant for some international terrorist who immediately sexually assaults her and allows her to suck his tongue, which is gross just even to film. And then here comes fucking Sean Archer. He's on the siege. They're here to take the plane down. And Tim, Sean Archer plays chicken with a jet.
Yes, yeah. There's so many Humvees, cop cars, and helicopters. They're chasing down the private jet, but they're, as you said, they play chicken with it.
Meanwhile, inside, the FBI agent reveals who she is. FBI, freeze! Pollux immediately tackles her because she's in heels. And then this poor woman, and it's very funny though, like after they play chicken, Sean spins back around and starts chasing the plane in his Hummer. Old school Hummer. Castor appear with the woman with a gun to her head and is, "Hey, Sean," and shoots this poor fucking woman in the head and dumps her out of the plane. But honest to goodness, laugh out loud here. The look on Castor's face afterwards, like, oopsie, is truly chilling. It was the one moment I was like, he might have been able to do like a Dark Knight level Joker. Like he just drops a dead corpse under an airplane and then just, oops, was that me?
Yeah.
Sorry, Sean.
Yeah. At this point, Travolta commandeers a helicopter, and the only way I can describe it, he uses it to physically wrestle the plane. It is as if he is trying to use the helicopter to put handcuffs on a plane and just shouting, "Stop resisting!"
I love that. I said he pulls an airplane pit maneuver.
Yeah, basically.
But with a helicopter, the most unsafe aerial maneuver vehicle in the world.
And we'll get into it. It's not the last time a pit maneuver is pulled with vehicles where that's just not going to work.
No. So obviously the airplane does in fact stop because there's a helicopter in it.
Yeah, but also because Travolta shoots out the engines with a pistol.
Well, yeah, so the helicopter fucks up the airplane and the pilots, this isn't going to take off, dude. And so he, of course, shoots him in the head and they This is so great. They crash into a hangar that was full of fireworks and airbags. They all go off as you would expect. And of course, that triggers shootout in the hangar.
Yes.
We have already had car chase in an airplane v helicopter. Airplane crashes into a full working fireworks-filled terminal or warehouse. And now we get shootout in the warehouse.
Yeah. Everything, this is the 90s, everything is going to explode at the slightest provocation. And
it's amazing.
Yeah, and again, I've mentioned this on the show, the main music-related feed before. I went through a large part of my childhood thinking that cars would just explode in wrecks for two reasons. One, movies like this, followed by me seeing the aftermath of a relatively small terrorist attack in Saudi Arabia, and my dad just being like, yeah, no, there would... Don't worry, people aren't driving around with explosives trying to murder you. That was just a car that crashed into a guard tower thing. And so instead of me worrying about maniacs trying to murder me, I was just like, but so cars could just, oh my God, that's worse. That's so much worse.
That is so much worse.
Yeah.
Now, of course, everybody in this warehouse / airplane hangar is being murdered around Travolta and Cage, such that it will become eventually just Travolta v. Cage.
Yes.
But what I do love, Tim, is before that, Castor just keeps shooting all of John Archer's fellow agents while John Archer gets there just in the nick of time to go, get down!
Yeah.
And then that guy gets shot in the face.
It's almost like they're working together to identify where the targets
Here
are.
they are.
Yeah. But before that,
here's the next one.
Yeah. Before that, though, Cage does a really cool sideways jump out of the plane with his two golden guns. Then his brother does a really poor version of that, and as a result is immediately captured.
Yeah. Well, he's got some sort of special problems.
Yes. He's the real Tim to Nic Cage's Garrett. They...
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't like that. I was hoping you... Anyway, it doesn't matter. They face off with one another, and it's pretty cool, Garrett. The weird thing with this dialogue is that is Nic Cage both like super profane and also offended by profanity? Because John Travolta says something to which Nic Cage is just, you watch your fucking mouth. And what?
Yeah. Yeah, because the next lines out of his mouth is, how's your daughter Jamie? Is she ripe yet, John? Is your little peach ripe? And of course, John Travolta wants to murder him in that moment because gross. And he almost does. So Castor's out of bullets. So it ends up with John Archer putting a gun to his head as he decides whether or not to kill him. Of course, Castor's just stalling while he pulls a knife out of his belt. I'm not really sure. And goes to make a move on Sean, who immediately hits like a button or something. What happens there, Tim? How does he end up behind a jet engine?
Well, he kicks him into the flow of the jet engine.
He kicks him into the
and
stream.
then he turns, as you do, he knows how to turn on this jet engine that's for some reason set up for testing purposes in the Chinese fireworks factory. Doesn't seem safe. But anyway, yeah.
Y'all just stay on your side. It'll be fine.
Yeah, he turns it on. It blows Cage back into a chain link fence and puts him in a coma.
Yep. And then for some reason, this is important. Sean Archer just assumes he's dead.
Yes.
Which is weird. In any event, seemingly the end of the movie, folks.
Yep.
And honestly, Tim, if it was, pretty satisfying.
Yeah, he gets his revenge. But Travolta goes home to his cinematically troubled family. His daughter has been wearing black. My God.
Yeah, what is she thinking?
Yeah.
She's a girl, Tim.
Yeah, and he's been ignoring his wife while he hunts down the man that killed their son, and she's been pretty pissed off about how distant he's been. But all of their troubles are over, Garrett. He's going to make an effort to stop sucking in the future.
Well, yeah, he comes in, he goes, I got him, Eve. I got him. It's over.
I like the way...
and third face waterfall.
Yes. I like the way he's dressed, though, because the way they make him up, it's like he's had a tough day at the office. His sleeves are slightly rolled up, and he's just a little exhausted, a little bit more than usual.
He's rumpled.
Yeah. Just
he didn't have a multi-vehicle, middle-of-the-desert shootout that involved the death of at least a dozen people.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the thing, because he goes to work the next day, and everyone's having a party, and he ruins that party by talking about Pincus and Donnelly and their horrible deaths the day before that were definitely caused by him. But We also learn...
Yo, he's such a piece of shit. Well, they slow clap him. That's important. He walks in, it's a slow clap. He's caught maybe the most wanted terrorist, not to mention everybody talks about it. That guy killed his son. We all saw it. And they slow clap him, and of course, and they give him champagne. He's send it back. What about Janelli and Pincus and Waterman? What about them? And it's, well, yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that you got the guy, you piece of shit. So he's just a real Debbie Downer.
Yeah. Yeah, we also learn that he works with Garrett Harvey's first girlfriend, CCH Pounder, as well as Margaret Cho, Bunny Colvin from The Wire, and his boss, whomst I have named Bald Fred.
His boss is Wade. He's the father-in-law in Fargo.
Yes, yeah, he is. Mm-hmm.
We're not a bake, Jerry.
Yeah, that guy was having a great mid-90s run, too.
He's not the only Fargo alum. We'll get there.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Somebody brings in a zip disk, if you remember those, recovered from the plane because it was 1997. This was the height of technology. We learn about the bomb from this, at which point Archer's like, oh yeah, he told me about this bomb yesterday, and I didn't bother to mention it to anyone. We find out that this bomb is going to level a square mile and then also cause a fallout slightly worse than Gulf War syndrome. And listen, I know the Gulf War had just happened, and if you have Gulf War syndrome and you're listening right now, I'm sure it sucks.
You're going to say some insensitive shit.
I'm sure it sucks.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't want Gulf War syndrome. I hate fatigue, insomnia, muscle pain, and diarrhea. I have them all. I don't have Gulf War. I might have Gulf War syndrome. I was there. God damn it. Is that what the diarrhea is from? Anyway, I have Gulf War syndrome.
No, that's Chipotle, friend.
I have Gulf War syndrome, and I just figured that out. But listen, I think they could have gone with something more menacing here. They could have just said smallpox. And
yeah, literally anything. I don't know why they picked that. It's always stood out to me as odd. But so he's just, don't worry, I'll get him to talk. That's what I do. Before they've even interrogated anybody, CCH Pounder's like, there's another option, Sean.
Yeah, she floats very nonchalantly. She floats the idea that Cage and Travolta just kind of switch faces.
Yes.
And this is when Travolta finds out...
Let's really set it up. Go ahead.
This is when Travolta finds out that Cage is still alive. To prove that Cage, though, is in a coma and unresponsive, she just puts a cigarette out on his arm. That's gotta be against some sort of protocol. I hope she wasn't this casually cruel when you two were together.
No, wait, okay. No, not at all. Not physically. But it begs two questions. One, why are you smoking in that medical facility?
Because it was the 90s.
And two,
that's not a question. What's wrong with you?
Interesting. It felt like it was late in the 90s anyway. And then the other question being just like, I know he's a piece of shit, but aren't we supposed to like raise ourselves better than those that we look down on? Don't put cigarettes out on people. You could have pinched him. You could have, honestly, you could have flicked his nuts. It would have been less rude.
Yeah, the genius Dr. Malcolm Walsh comes by. He shows Travolta all the fancy face technology they have. They're building ears out of lasers or whatever.
They totally build a laser ear. Like, okay, so all joking aside, I legitimately want to compliment this movie because we're going to get there in a minute, but they hand wave the science like just enough, and then the special effects, and by that practical effects, of the face swapping process is just convincing enough that you're like, yeah, I'm on board. We're swapping faces. Let's go. But the one part that even as a child, I was like, wait, what? It's laser ear.
Yeah.
What? I know what lasers are. I know what ears are. What? How does one turn into the other? We'll get to the process in a moment. So Sean Archer, of course, is detested by this. And I want to say, this doctor's giving me Mangala vibes.
Absolutely.
Like he's a little too into it.
Yeah, no, listen, he's killed many men to make this work.
Would you like a goat on your back too? What? No. Also, what do you mean by that? It's a goat's face and it's alive, but it's on your back. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so you're right. Travolta refuses this, and instead he goes on a torture spree, including brother and sister duo. Remember that. Nick Cassavetes and Gina Gershon to avoid the face swap. And this is when we learn it's going to be on the 18th. So at this point, he knows what the timetable is. He's got somewhat less than 10 days at this point.
It's worth mentioning that one of the people that he interrogates / tortures poops himself.
That's true. Yeah. Happens,
and so,
you know,
it does if you have literally the shit beaten out of you.
Mm-hmm. And that happens. Anyway, he realizes he's definitely going to have to get that face off. So he goes home to say goodbye to his wife. She does one last face swipe, face waterfall, whatever we're calling it now. So this is a family thing, right? It's not abuse exactly, but it should maybe count.
Couple things here. One, we haven't said it on the show, but it's worth saying. This is a John Travolta thing.
I'm not certain about that.
Listen, I don't have a source. I'm just saying, me personally, my opinion, or whatever I legally have to say on the show, this reeks of Travolta.
I think it does too, but let's revisit this when we get back to when it becomes a definite plot point, because
okay.
That changes it for me. But yes, I agree with you. It does feel like something like if I'd met Travolta in 1995, I suspect he would have done this. Or at least I could believe that he would do this to me.
It's how he marks you, so his handlers know to come get you later for a special meet and greet.
Ooh.
What? Who doesn't like a special meet and greet with John Travolta? Oh man, my shirt's totally chafing me.
Travolta also does a run-through. So he goes to the facility, he's talking to Bunny Colvin, and he does a run-through of what they're asking him to do. This is, to me, shocking. What he describes, what he's going to have to do, is just basic undercover work. He never gets to mention the fact that they're going to rip his face off and replace it with a different face. That's the part that's the real kicker.
Yeah, that seemed really important to talk through. But the part that bothers me the most is they emphasize, and maybe we haven't quite gotten there yet, but it's very close. This is strictly off the books. This is deep cover, black ops, whatever other ridiculous words. I get that. Sure. We don't want to advertise that, one, we have this technology, two, we're doing this. It's all for naught if the secret's out. But I'm no FBI man. I'm no G-man.
No, you're almost the opposite. Sorry, go ahead.
Rude. Tell your wife, though, right? Like something. Tell her something.
Yes, and also the way these things work is it's not like the lower level employees that are pulling one over on their boss. It's a need to know where the boss or somebody very high up knows, and then like only a couple of people in a vertical orientation know. But
yeah, it's a very small slice.
Yeah, this sort of implies that like CCH Pounder and Bunny Colvin are like stealing the resources to secretly run this Nazis lab.
I'm absolutely tired of having to take my orders from Victor Lazaro.
Yeah. And okay.
I fucking love her.
The part that bothers me, I think maybe the line that bothers me the most in this entire movie is that he says, "This will work," and I'm quoting here, "if the doctor can do half of what he said he could," to which I say, no, it fucking won't. If half of him removing and replacing a face means you have no face, which is by far, that's way more conspicuous, I would say. Like, you can't just go into this prison and be like, hey, I'm your brother, and be like, you've got a horrible, bloody mess for a face. You're definitely not. I think...
Peach! I got in a peach for hours. Do you believe it? Where are your lips?
In all honesty, I would tell that man anything you needed to know. I got my own face cut off to show you how far I'm willing to go in torturing you. Fair enough, sir. It would be extremely funny to me, though, if they just made this incredibly, like, the face transplant procedure incredibly realistic. So, like, they feed him all of this, like, what they can do, and then Travolta comes out of surgery, and after, like, weeks and months of recovery, he still has a horrible swollen mask that looks nothing like Nic Cage, and Malcolm Walsh is just, pretty good. Kind of looks like Castor Troy from certain angles. Meanwhile, that bomb exploded months ago.
And listen, there's still a lot of drainage. Where drainage? Why can't I swallow? Oh, God. I'm a monster. We have to stop the bombing. Oh, that was no. You've been in a medically induced coma for weeks, sir. That happened a while ago.
1/3 of the
Millions are
population of Earth has died of smallpox and or Gulf War syndrome.
But hey, is that Castor Troy I see in front of me? No, you fucking piece of shit. Put my face back on.
Oh,
Ooh,
it's not gonna
can't
look
really go back. Was this sort of? We were kind of banking on the time you were in the Magneto prison for us to figure out how to get it back on. So you're just gonna have to chill, sir. So ultimately, he does decide I got to swap these faces.
Yes, and the script also goes really far out of its way to mention that John Travolta is in fact fatter than Nicolas Cage, and Travolta is not a good enough actor to not look kind of pissed off about that, and it's very funny.
Yeah, even in the final version, you could see him being like, "Fuck you."
The genius Dr. Malcolm Walsh also mentions that the blood types won't match, but that's fine. Pollux Troy won't know that. This is going to be a plot point later in the movie, but I also feel like Pollux Troy would definitely figure this out when the body begins to reject that face, because massive, rapid, and unexplained swelling and facial necrosis tends to raise questions.
No, Tim. Antibiotics and anti-inflammatories.
Oh, they're
He's
new.
healed in days.
They're new. Speaking of which, though, we should ask Gino some questions about his face rot. It might be this.
Oh, maybe.
But also, Garrett, not only are they going to put Nic Cage's face on John Travolta's skull, but the movie kind of implies that they're going to put this really big plastic hockey mask thing in between the two, and somehow that's not going to be noticeable or horribly distort the face.
It looked pretty good to me.
That's true.
But yes, it did look insane because they were like, this is a perfect match on the inside. But on the outside, it's Castor Troy. Bitch, that's 3 inches thick.
Yeah, it's so big. When it's time to remove the face, they
Love it.
cut around the rim like the rim of a tin can, and we learn that that is the only place that a face is connected. I don't know what they do about the eyelids. I was very bothered by the lack of attention to the eyelids.
They should have kept him in place.
Yeah, I guess.
Cut around him.
Yeah.
Stitch the face to the eyelid. That's what I would do, at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that I've ever cut off someone's face and swapped it with another face.
No. But after the laser rim job, they just kind of suck that face off with a vacuum. And there's a shot of Bunny Colvin just being real grossed out when they suck the face off and then float it in water. Yeah, because there are
great sound effects.
No muscles or fascia or anything keeping a face attached.
No.
Again, one of the more insane parts of this movie to me, thus far at least, is that while his face is off, the barber comes in to give him a haircut. So,
Tim, this has bothered me for 20 years. I couldn't be happier to have this conversation. If we don't make it to the end of the movie and we just talk about this, I'll be okay with it.
It's
insane.
Okay, this procedure is supposed to be an ultra secret thing. They don't even tell Boss Bald Fred for some reason. But they get a barber in here to witness the whole thing. And this bothers me for 2 reasons. One, why not wait until do the haircut either after the second face is on or before they take the first one off? Because otherwise you're going to get a bunch of tiny hairs under that face skin. Or our intern Jamie, her question on her third viewing, why not just cut around the hair? Just take the whole thing. Seems reasonable.
Scalp off.
It's possible, though, that the scalp is attached in more than 3 locations, though. But
doubt it.
My other question with this is, who is the barber?
Yeah.
Has this situation happened?
FBI barber?
Yeah. Okay, so is it an FBI barber that specializes in doing haircuts on the faceless? Or is it at least a barber that has some sort of weird national security clearance that they can trust to keep their mouth shut? Because if they did the haircut when either of the 2 faces were attached, they would not have to read the barber into this face program. What I really like to think is that every time the lab switches a face, they get a new barber, they bring him in, have him do this, and they're just like, fuck, we did it when hey guys, we did it when the face was off again. And then they have to take him out and kill him because he knows too much.
Hey man, you did such a great job with that haircut. We wanted to take you out for a few drinks after work. Oh, wow, really? Yeah, we'll tell you all sorts of great stories about the FBI. Stuff that you could never repeat though, but we're not worried. Huh? Yeah, so let's just focus on the most important part of what you just said. And I couldn't agree more across the board. Tiny hairs, Tim. Tiny hairs in your face.
We 100% get confirmation that they do get into his face Because on the way to prison, Nic Cage begins rubbing his face on a rough wall and then has the Wire's Bunny Colvin scratch his face because he's itchy like a doggy. He definitely has tiny hairs under that face.
Yeah, it has haunted me. And then years later, Tim, Garrett Harvey fun fact. So on the inside of my abdomen, there is a, how do I describe this? A mesh, if you will, a protective barrier between my organs and my skin.
Right. You had a put on the inside.
I'm sure I've bleeped most of what you said. Why I have it is my business. Point being, after I had it installed, the inside of me began to itch. And I instantly flashed to this, and I was like, did one of those motherfuckers get some hair inside me? I thought that's insane. But it's always bothered me that you would dare. It's not even, maybe you could get away with that if they had long hair or even Travolta's little poof, but you see them cutting this Caesar cut. It's right there. I can't cut my toenails without them flying across the bathroom, and you're cutting hair on an open face.
It's really troubling. Anyway, Nic Cage gives a...
Hold on. Sorry. Last bit, I promise. I like the idea that they've split the difference. He's not a specialist. They're not going to kill him. They've just come up with a really terrible half-assed excuse. They're just like, hey, he's a wounded warrior from the Iraq War. He's still suffering from some ongoing war trauma
He's
wounds.
suffering from Gulf War syndrome.
Again, we do not mean to belittle anybody who is listening right now with Gulf War syndrome. It's a serious affliction that came from an absolute neglect of our government to protect our soldiers. We salute the troops. But yes, so when you get in there, you're going to see a lot of Gulf War syndrome on his face. Try not to look at that or get any of the hair in it, because it will be an open face completely. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah, Nic Cage gives a pretty amazing performance upon seeing his reflection. He does not manage to break the mirror until the third try, though. I believe that to be just something that happens.
Yep.
They also give him the larynx microchip that doesn't make a lot of sense and can be dislodged with a sneeze. They should probably tack that thing down a bit better. And also, at this point, listen, I know that we're the good guys. Let's kill faceless Castor Troy. We got the face, and it's not like they need to attach his face to Nic Cage's body to keep it viable. It's just floating in some goo. It'll be fine. Let's kill Castor Troy just to make sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. Also, glad you brought up the goo. When they drop the Travolta face in there for safekeeping, every time I'm just like, wonder what that goo is. Salt water? Maybe it's got some sugar in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's milk.
It's not milk.
Like a tooth.
Maybe. It's off to weird future prison for Nic Cage, where the Geneva Convention is void, which is a statement that sounded dumb in 1997 and then didn't a few years later.
Yep.
The Supermax prison, we've got these magnetic boots to lock everyone down. In a terrible prisoner tracking system. The lockdown procedure, though, always bothered me as well, for two reasons. One, it's just terrible, because if you're fighting a guy and then your feet are locked to the floor, you can still fight that guy. You just can't, retreat in any way. It's not...
Yeah, somebody's going to benefit greatly from that system and someone isn't.
Yes. And the other thing is, when they get knocked down, because their feet are attached to the floor, they just fall over and their feet remain flat on the floor, which is horrifying. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but good God.
It doesn't feel great.
No.
Fun side note on the production of those boots, Tim. You know what movie those are from, right?
I do, and I'm blank. Is it Mario? Is it Mario?
That's it. It is Mario. The Goombas are wearing those big heavy fuckers.
Just reusing them for this.
They repurposed them. Well, because they're so cumbersome and heavy, it wasn't difficult for the actors to be like, they're magnetic.
Yeah.
But really, it was just like, no, who could fucking walk in these things?
They do also a really terrible job of casting the inmates and guards for what should be a supermax prison. These are some of the least intimidating people you could think of. One of them's Thomas Jane.
I didn't even clock that. One of them's Thomas Jane.
Uh-huh.
That's great. Let's see here. So this is our first time where we meet Dubov, right?
Yes.
Because Travolta as Castor Troy, Nicolas Cage, gets into a fight with Dubov in the mess hall, and he worries that his brother isn't buying his sweet fighting skills. So he goes full Nic Cage, wide-eyed, begins grinning like a psychopath, screaming, I'm Castor Troy! And then beats the ever-loving piss out of Dubov. while we see a sinister-looking guard watch. And that's what's his face, the husband from Fargo.
Yes, yeah.
What is his name? John Carroll Lynch. That's his name.
Yeah, he has to fight as crazily and as aggressively as Castor Troy so as not to arouse suspicion, but also not kill anybody, because Nic Cage would in fact decapitate a man with a cafeteria tray, but John Travolta would not.
Yeah.
The other thing is, his brother Pollux is so incredibly suspicious that somebody stole his brother's face and is wearing it. Which is so insane
immediately.
to me. The first time he sees him, he's like, wait a minute.
Did they operate on you, brother? For some reason, we haven't mentioned it till now. For some reason, Pollux is doing like a vague Lorne Michaels impression the whole movie. It's very strange.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Sorry, we're going to have to cut you for time, Castor.
But he's so incredibly suspicious, and it makes no sense unless he is also watching the movie with us.
Yeah, the fact that the first thing he jumps to is, what, did they operate on you? You don't seem the same. Hey, are you Sean Archer with my brother's face on yours? Oh, no. What? It would be so specific, you probably would give it away.
Honestly, you'd have to be just like, you got me.
Now, don't touch me at all.
Meanwhile, real Castor Troy, now faceless, sits up in his hospital bed. You get some nice... They do a bunch of jump scares in this movie, which is very strange. His first instinct is to remove the bandages and just stick a couple faces in his face goo, or his sub-face goo, I guess I should say.
Yeah, he just sticks a couple fingers right on in there and pulls away, and we see not only is they blood, but he gets some viscera to him.
Yeah. And he smokes some cigarettes without a face, which is, I'm just gonna say it, fucking cool. And...
very cool. Probably the scariest thing he does in the whole movie.
Yes. We get a couple of glimpses of this faceless Nic Cage. To be honest, it looks like somebody just took some coarse-grained sandpaper to Nic Cage's face.
I will say, if I have one complaint with the whole movie, it is the lack of a good full-on shot of that faceless man.
Yeah.
Because he got the R rating. I want to see that faceless man.
Yeah, absolutely. His performance, though, is appropriately unhinged. I love the scream when he figures it out. And I especially love the phone call to the goons with the, they took my face. They took my face.
It's so good. He starts like howling. He's like, we're going to deal with it, though.
Yeah. Which, in all honesty, they should make him insane. Like, this should drive him insane waking up like this. He should veer into just becoming like a Mason Verger character and just be like, we're going to feed his face to the pigs. We're going to need you to get some pigs.
Oh, Cordell. Who's Cordell? God, they are similar, though.
Yeah, he calls his goons, but it's very strange. He calls a subset of his goons. They don't ever communicate to the Nick Cassavetes side of, which seems to be the A-team of his goons. They don't tell them ever. I don't know why.
He gets it. You've got to have small cells.
Yeah.
Don't let everybody know what's up.
I was going to say it's strange, but it turns out that works. The goons bring in the good Dr. Malcolm Walsh. He puts Travolta's face on Cage's head and presumably fattens him up so it works. They bring in another doomed barber, and then Castor Troy, obviously, as Sean Archer now, dumps gasoline on them, including Bunny Colvin and CCH Pounder, so now nobody knows about the face swap.
Right.
In my memory, there were no goons in this part. I just remember him smoking cigarettes and, like, forcing himself to get a new face. But I thought the face swap was done on an awake Nic Cage holding a gun in my memory, which I know that sounds stupid, but it actually is more in line with the movie than something like having goons come in. And listen, that's not the case. The goons stayed in, I guess, during the surgery to make sure everything goes right. But if I were one of this guy's goons, the second this guy went under general anesthesia, like, I would put a cigarette out on him to make sure he was asleep, and then I'd be like, all right, everybody, we're obviously going to kill this maniac, right? He's terrible to work for. He's going to get us killed within days. Let's just shoot him in the face. Doctor, you're on board with this? FBI guys, cool. Let's just do it.
Yeah, I'm the new Castor Troy. Everybody, let's just pretend tonight didn't happen. We were going to set you on fire. So you help us out here. We'll all win. Maybe I don't have to do that. But Tim, cut back to prison. Castor is chatting with Pollux when Pollux accidentally reveals the location of the bomb.
Kinda. He says LA Convention Center. Stick with it and get more information than that. Don't just immediately be like, all right.
Yeah, as the worst undercover agent of all time, the minute Pollux starts to give him any useful information, he just like switches gears back to Sean Archer and he's like, you fucking idiot. And he's barely gotten Convention Center out and he's just, you're fucking pathetic.
Yeah. In all honesty,
mean,
that would
bro?
be immediately how I would be my first go around at this, because I'd be so proud like that it worked.
It'd be worth it at that point, right? You did that face swap. Anyway, Archer has to resist the urge to literally skip back to his prison cell. Cage finds out, hey, you got a visitor. He's expecting Buddy Colvin or CCH Pounder. And instead, the seductive, the effortless glide of John Travolta into the room where Nicolas Cage is in some sort of Hannibal Lecter style, I don't even know what. He's chained to the ground or something. And Travolta comes in and he lets him know, yeah, I've killed everybody. I've got your face. Definitely gonna fuck your wife. And then I might kill your whole family just for giggles, but not before I completely make an ass out of the entire judicial system, everything you stand for.
Yes.
Have a good time, buddy. And Tim, I don't think I've ever noticed this until this viewing. Travolta tries to kiss Nicolas Cage in their first face-off.
I thought he was trying to bite his ear.
I don't know which one's stranger.
Yeah.
I will give Travolta a lot of credit for, like, when he comes in as Castor Troy, there is legitimately, like, a complete change in, like, how he carries himself. It's a good performance. It's still ludicrous.
Yeah, but
it's good.
It's kind of like watching the old Superman movies, and you see the difference between the body language with Clark Kent and Superman, and you're like, they're like, he's legitimately playing two different characters.
Those two have a small tete-a-tete. Nicolas Cage tries to strangle the life out of John Travolta, as you would, but of course is beaten by that John Carroll Lynch we mentioned earlier, that evil guardsman. Smash cut to John Travolta, as of course Castor Troy now, trying to drive home and find where Sean Archer's house is. He drives just a little bit past it and sees Joan Allen looking quizzically in the front lawn. He slams on the brakes, backs up, and he's like, oh, there we are.
Yes.
And Tim, I don't know that I picked up on it when I was younger. The amount of sexual energy that John Travolta throws at a Joan Allen in that front yard alone, let alone the movie, we'll get to it. He comes out there and tries to fuck her in the front yard.
Yes, he does. New Sean Archer is extremely horny. They never show it, but they do imply. Definitely, the wife confirms later that they are banging. She says they've lived together for as man and wife for a week. And this raises the question, Garrett, because he is very confident that obviously he's going to do a better job of this than the real Sean Archer would. But he's very confident that she's going to believe that's him. Did they switch dicks?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. There is no way at all any of this works if she gets even remotely near that dick and they didn't switch them.
Mm-hmm. We'll get back to that later because I do think that's important. She leaves for work. Sean Archer is now home alone with the daughter. The plot thickens, he says, as he goes upstairs to maybe bang his daughter. He hasn't decided yet. They instead bond over smoking inside the house, which apparently the mom doesn't smell that. That might be the least realistic part of this movie, is that she's not aware that these two assholes are constantly smoking in the house.
Yeah, go smoke a cigarette in a house that doesn't have typically someone doing that. You will smell it for weeks.
Yes. And
it won't be like, oh, what is that? Did something die in the wall? It'll be like, hey, who was smoking in my fucking house?
Absolutely. The daughter, though, when she sees him smoking and realizes her dad's cool, she has this look on her face that says, hey, when did dad get kinda hot? Which is gross.
Yep, that's what happens.
Wrong
Let's
way
take
to
them all the way through it.
It is her first role ever. Wrong way to play that.
Yeah, the whole thing is problematic, and I try never to use that word, but it might be the most appropriate here and one other scene in the movie. But the first part is Travolta comes in and sees who is that lady? God, I can't remember her name. Swain, that's her name. sees daughter Dominique Swain, aka Jamie, and she's pantsless.
I do the bit where he constantly gets her name wrong. He keeps calling her Janie. It's a really funny
it's
through
very
line.
funny. Yeah, you must have misheard me, Jamie. Very funny stuff. But she's like hanging out talking on the phone in a t-shirt and panties, which I got to tell you, 14-year-old Garrett was pretty okay with. Way to go, Dominique Swain. But he starts out with, and you're like, uh-oh, is he going to sexually assault this woman? And luckily he doesn't. He does, however, do a full body reach across to get the light.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah, he does. It's a I'm checking this out with my inner forearm kind of move.
Yeah, it's like nothing is technically inappropriate, but I am occupying a space closer than I should be as your father and you being a pantsless teen girl.
It is. I have plausible deniability. I was reaching for the lighter.
That's right. But then, Tim, to your point, we needed a second take. We got to redo that coverage because her response is, when did Dad get kind of hot? And no girl should ever think that. If ever. Ugh. God.
Yeah.
I remember even thinking at 14 years old, just what are they going for here? This isn't good. Sure, if it comes from Travolta, it at least makes sense, right? That's Castor Troy. And she should be like, hey, get the fuck out. I don't have pants on.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, then we cut to work. He's the cool boss now. And it's kind of, they play the difference between Cage and Travolta, sort of a jocks versus nerd thing, which is kind of funny. The script makes Travolta mock himself at his dumb face, his ridiculous chin, and such, and he clearly hates every bit of it, which I enjoy. The writers of this movie, apparently Travolta wanted to discuss the line in which he refers to his ridiculous chin. Ridiculous chin. Ridiculous chin. And the writers, they had to say, John, the joke is you're such a famously handsome person that saying anyone would complain about looking like you. That's the joke. Nicolas Cage doesn't understand how good looking he is now. Travolta seemed to believe us.
Are you buying any of this? Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
The new plan seems to be for Travolta to go semi-straight, I guess. He saunters in and fucks around with a biological weapon at the LA Convention Center. No one seems to have a problem with this. He disarms it while dancing a little bit. There's some cool cartoon nudity on the bomb when it's disarmed with 1 second left. And everything that's happened so far, the faces, the recovery from multiple face surgeries, going to future prison, disarming a bomb, the taking over somebody's life, all of that, 10.5 days from when, from 10.5 days from half a day before Cage was put into a coma.
Yeah, so it's 11 days since we met these people.
Mm-hmm. He is now a hero at work. He's on the cover of Time magazine, which pisses off his boss, Bald Fred. Margaret Cho gets in a pretty great line about removing the stick from his ass, and then he pats his secretary on the ass, after which he again jizzes in those pants.
Ejaculates.
So we know from now that the writers believe this to be an entirely mental and not physical problem. His premature ejaculation. Yes. I'm just going to say this, Garrett. This movie might explain how the national security state missed 9/11. Because Travolta takes a call from the president and demands to be in charge of international terrorism investigation. Neither Cage nor Travolta as Archer are the right guy for this job. They would definitely spend the next 4 years fucking up on catching UBL, ultimately causing 9/11.
Sure, but how's that any different than what actually happened?
No, I'm just saying, I think that this movie is implying that this is the guy that's responsible. It's Travolta's fault.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Back to prison, the fake Nic Cage, the guy wearing Nic Cage's skin, fights a guard for a cigarette in an attempt to get taken to this confusing electroshock torture room.
Oh, hold on, Tim. You've skipped a scene.
Oh.
A very important scene. So, couple things to fill in. One, part of the whole ruse with disarming the bomb is that he got the information from Pollux so that he worked out a deal and Pollux is now free. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
Then Travolta, then Cage in prison, instead of them showing the nature films they've been showing the whole time, suddenly is showing the news, and he sees that John Travolta has disarmed the bomb. He's basically consumed his life and is more successful at it than he's ever been. Then we cut back to the Archer household. And casters fill the entire house with candles. And Joan Allen comes in and he cucks out Sean Archer so hardcore. So he fills the house with candles. He makes her dinner, and she still, this doesn't change anything. If you're going to be out there risking your life, what's different? And he's, I'm not going to be leaving. I'll come home every night. Gives her a sexy foot massage.
He's going to do all that foot stuff that John Travolta was not into. Doesn't seem accurate.
So we don't see it, but he fucks the shit out of her, and she's into it. She feels, that's the thing that she quietly wrestles with the whole movie and never actually says out loud. She has immense guilt for the joy and orgasms she got.
Nicolas Cage, simply better at sex than John Travolta.
I'll tell you this, Castor Troy, way better at sex than Sean Archer.
Absolutely. Nic Cage, the new Nic Cage, fights a guard for a cigarette. He's attempting to get taken to the confusing electroshock torture room thing because he finds out that the magnet boots get taken off there. Just before they shoot a spark into his head, they let him smoke a cigarette because this movie is an ad for cigarettes, and he burns a guard with it and escapes. He tries not to kill any guards, although he does spray a bunch of them with sulfuric acid, which isn't very cool. So many guards...
Hold on a moment. Why was there just a giant bottle of sulfuric acid in this prison?
Torture chamber, Garrett.
Got it. Well, don't forget, he's doing all of this with the help of his trusty new sidekick, Dubov.
Yes, and he had to tell him that he did not, in fact, have a sex sandwich with his wife and sister. So,
are you kidding me? You had a sex sandwich with his wife and sister while he was away.
The day he was put away.
No, I don't really like the cheerleading sketch.
They kill so many guards. They knock the power out to the prison, which produces a lot of sparks, some fireworks, and a prison riot because it was the 90s. His buddy gets killed, but he bursts out of prison only to find out that he is on an oil rig. And he seems surprised by this, although he was awake when they helicoptered him in, so he should know.
Remember, they bagged his ass.
Oh, that's true. You're right. And I think we're supposed to believe that this is in the middle of nowhere, but some later shots show that this is approximately 100 feet off the coast of Santa Barbara.
It makes no sense. So he gets on the top, looks around, gives us the impression there's nothing anywhere nearby, because that would be the point of a big secret prison. And he just goes, no! Then we get a great chase sequence. I came to find out Nicolas Cage, at the time at least, scared of heights, which is weird because I know for a fact that he was once out rock climbing in McKinney Falls like 2 days before we got there.
Oh.
And yeah, I know. That would have been amazing. Amazing. One of my friends was there. He had photos of him rock climbing with Nicolas Cage in a windsuit.
I would have owned Nic Cage's
filthy.
skull. But he's sitting right on Earth.
It's... I'm really torn on that statement. Anywho, there's a helicopter firing a chain gun at him, as you'd expect. He runs across the rig, ultimately jumping into the ocean, which looks awesome, by the way. We haven't said this, Tim. It's 1997. CGI is virtually non-existent. Like, they're using it here and there, but we're blowing shit up. We're jumping off of stuff. Helicopters are crashing into planes. It's awesome.
Yeah, they just did this movie. They don't have the special effects to switch faces. They switched those faces. Anyway, Garrett, fake Nic Cage, he jumps into the ocean. He seems to be...
somehow swims to shore.
Well, again, somehow, he's very close to shore. He steals a car from the valet. He uses the car phone to call his wife at her hospital job. And... So he tells her about
that man is not your wife.
Yeah.
That man is not your husband.
And she obviously doesn't believe him. He doesn't include any personal details that might convince her. He doesn't even say, hey, check the penis. He then tries to call his boss, but this gets intercepted by fake Travolta, and he never once tries to contact anyone at the FBI again. Just gives up immediately. Yep. Fake Travolta, meanwhile, is at home when real-life rapist Danny Masterson brings his daughter home and tries to rape her in the car outside the house.
God damn it. I was curious if you were going to dance around this.
Nope. He's a monster. Travolta beats him up and then gives her Chekhov's butterfly knife. And some advice, he says, if you dress like Halloween, ghouls will try to get in your pants.
Now, Tim, at this point, I want to call something out that is... controversial. Maybe it's a hot take. I don't know. But at this moment in the movie, Sean Archer, nay, Castor Troy as Sean Archer, has become an attentive husband and excellent lover.
Yes.
He has saved his daughter from a rapist, who was Danny Masterson, an actual rapist. And then he tells his daughter that you're hiding behind these outfits and acting out to avoid dealing with the loss of your brother. You need to face that loss. He also stopped a biological terrorist attack.
Yeah, well, that one's kind of a wash, okay?
Okay, maybe I'm gilding the lily slightly, but you see where I'm going here.
Yeah.
Up to this point, Sean Archer, aka Castor Troy, pretty good dude.
Yeah, he's much better than the real guy.
At least for his family, listens to his wife, understands her needs, gives her sexy foot massages, fucking hollows her out like
Okay,
a
well,
canoe.
we're hopefully bleeping at least a little of that.
I will only allow the word canoe. And then gives his daughter legitimate, emotionally grounded advice to stop hiding behind outfits and acting out and just face the sadness and grief of losing your little brother.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that part, I don't know that I've ever noticed that part. And I was just like, why is he giving insightful, emotional advice?
Because he's a great dad, Garrett.
Castor Troy, great dad.
Yep. Fake Nic Cage, on the other hand, goes to some sort of weird crime party loft that's either his old house or Nick Cassavetes' current house.
Yeah.
It's unclear. But it's a drug and whore party that reminds me of Schenectady, New York, in that the house appears to have been built inside of a warehouse for some reason. And
It's awesome.
It's super unclear why the Nick Cassavetes group of henchmen were not clued into the face-off thing by the fake Travolta or Pollux Troy, who is spying on the scene from a rooftop across the street.
I think that Cassavetes is his drug dealer, officially.
Okay. But he's also the guy
And
that sold
so-
him the bomb.
That's true. He totally sold him the bomb. So he's a drug dealer by trade, but he dabbles in biological warfare.
And also, they kind of implied that Pollux Troy... No, they didn't imply. They said that Pollux Troy designed the bomb, so I don't really understand.
Yes. Co-workers.
Okay, yeah. Nick Cassavetes, in deference to Nic Cage, brings fake Nic Cage his drug/gun/chiclet box, which to me brings up a very important question, because the first and last time we saw this thing was at the airport raid, where it was definitely taken into evidence by the FBI. So,
Yes.
does he have several of these boxes that he, distributes so that everywhere he goes he has a crime box? Or, conversely, upon hearing that he was dead, was the crime box the FBI had given to Nick Cassavetes? So, did Castor Troy have a will that stipulated that his blue pills and joints and golden guns and knife and dragon money clip, etc., should be delivered to Nick Cassavetes upon his death? And why would the FBI honor that? Can you will somebody something that is in an FBI evidence locker? Because if so, you're going to get some nice stuff when I die.
I can answer all of this. Well, let's start with the easy one. No, you can't.
Okay.
2, he totally has this set up at all the places that he likes to go. Multiple copies. 3, not a crime box, friend. Briefcase.
I know. Okay, these are the things that are in briefcases, according to Garrett.
No,
Harvey.
not what's in a briefcase. What's in that briefcase? But it's not just a random box.
Oh, sure. I think it's probably made out of granite, though.
What?
It seemed like very...
Like a pizza stone?
No, it seemed like he bought these boxes in, I don't know, some sort of Asian country. And it's a very, I don't know.
I mean, everything he does is quite ornate, but it's very clearly a leather-bound briefcase.
Okay.
This is what's making me laugh, is I don't know that you're acquainted with what a briefcase is.
I've never carried one.
Well, of course you haven't. It's 2026. Listeners, write in hatePodMail@gmail.com. Do you or somebody you know have a profession that at any point in your life necessitated a briefcase? Now, I carry a backpack.
Yeah, like an adult.
Which does, when said out loud, feel insane. I used to work with a guy who carried a stainless steel briefcase.
That guy was an
He
assassin.
also looked crazy.
Fake Nic Cage gets real high on what appears to be Alka-Seltzer and has incredibly poor trigger discipline for an FBI man. He's just holding this gun with his finger on that trigger. I expected him to accidentally shoot Nick Cassavetes in the forehead, like a la Pulp Fiction.
And then a drugged out Nicolas Cage begins saying over and over, I want to take his face off.
Yeah.
Which is an improv by Cage in the moment. Cassavetes, being a director himself, just went with it and just kept repeating it back to him. He said, in the actual filming of the scene, we just kept saying it back and forth for about 10 minutes straight. I assumed none of that would be in the movie. And then there it was.
Nic Cage then goes to the bathroom, or the little boy's wee-wee room, which is also weirdly what Garrett calls it in what I hope is a reference to this movie, and does the most unhinged Nic Cage impression I've ever seen. Like, they must have made him watch Vampires Kiss and try to recreate that insane face he does in that. It's crazier. It's somehow crazier than that.
I think it's the haircut.
It might be, yeah. His ex-girlfriend, Gina Gershon, and Nick Cassavetes' sister, that's gonna be super important later, shows up and punches his face, given how poorly, faces are attached to skulls in this universe. I feel like at some point somebody should get punched in the face and their face should just detach.
Or at least stay twisty.
Yes. He wakes up in bed. He's got the same leopard print pillowcases that you have. Gina Gershon tries to bang him and then mentions that he would always tell her to suck his tongue, indicating that this is his go-to move.
Yeah, no, he loves a good tongue suck. Listeners, write in, hatePodMail@gmail.com. What are we missing out on? Should I be having ladies suck my tongue?
No, do not write in with that information. Gina Gershon introduces Nic Cage to her son, obviously also his son, to which he replies, nice looking kid. Dude.
He then has a total freak out and starts hugging the boy, face waterfalls this poor little kid, which is definitely assault. It's the fifth one of the movie I tracked.
Yes.
And starts calling him Michael.
Yes.
His dead little boy's name. And obviously Gina Gershon's, that's not great.
Mm-hmm. And here's where the movie missed a huge opportunity. This would honestly make this movie better. The way you do you have him say hi to this kid, and then instead, the kid runs his fingers down Nic Cage's face and says, with voiceover work from Dennis Franz of NYPD Blue, if you blow my cover, I will fucking kill you, Dad. Hard cut. Merry-go-round scene. The paramedics take the son away. A doctor tells Travolta his son has died. The son wakes up in a medical facility with Bunny Colvin, CCH Pounder, and Dr. Malcolm Walsh standing over him. CCH Pounder says, your dad is too much of a Boy Scout to get this job done. Your country needs you, son. You're going undercover. We see a 20-minute montage of the kids training on the firing range, going through the obstacle course at Quantico, being bullied by his fellow recruits for only being 6 years old, learning spycraft, doing dead drops beneath park benches, that kind of thing, having his face switched with Nic Cage's son's face, obviously, I don't know, I guess he's in a coma for similar reasons. This kid...
I would assume they abduct him. Maybe his first mission is, you gotta abduct. I don't remember the kid's name. What's the kid's name?
Matter.
You got to abduct Castor Troy's child.
Yeah, the kid...
and steal his face.
The kid having to kill one of Castor Troy's hired goons, strangling him with a towel to maintain his cover. Better movie.
Way better movie. And honestly, I feel like a few of those threads could be lifted to pitch the almost now certainly defunct, or hopefully not defunct, Face Off 2.
Yeah.
What if Michael was never dead? You bring Michael back, and you come to find out he didn't die initially on that carousel.
And he's switching
casting as Michael.
He's switching faces all the time. Who do you cast as Michael?
Let's see. How old are we feeling?
You want him to be current day.
Well, it'd be current day.
No,
because I feel like Travolta in the movie.
I feel like you do it as when he's 15 and do it like a Hannah thing, where he's been raised by Eric Bana.
But not Eric Bana, by CCH Pounder.
Oh, definitely by CCH Pounder. I don't know any 15-year-old actors.
Yeah, that's best. For that era, it would have been Chalamet all day. Thank God it's not. I just hate him. What about a Ryan Gosling?
Yeah, a young Disney Ryan Gosling is what you're into. For the role, to be clear.
Yeah.
The flashback is then broken up by the FBI assault on this party room / family area. It's unclear. Fake Nic Cage is a terrible father. At some point, he's pretending to shield this boy, but at one point, he definitely uses him as a human shield. Gina Gershon, though, holds her own. She beats up and then murders some SWAT guys. Nic Cage is shooting them in the knees and stuff.
The assault on this home or compound, I know at one point was the largest and most used number of squibs in a single filmed action sequence that I think was replaced by the Matrix lobby scene like 2 years later.
Yeah, that makes sense. A lot of the shootout is set to somewhere over the rainbow. And
right, because the little kid's got headphones on and he's listening to that.
It's unclear why they just allow fake Travolta to just participate in this SWAT raid. It's similar to how he just took over the EOD bomb thing earlier.
What's crazier is before he gets there, it kind of looks like Pollux is in charge of the op. You see him on the roof with some binoculars. He's like, oh, it looks like he's visiting some of our old friends.
Yeah, it's very strange.
And then suddenly it's assault on Precinct 13 led by Pollux.
At one point, it seems like Travolta tries to shoot this kid, but he misses this kid, hits Nick Cassavetes in the neck instead, and right before dying, he gives Gina Gershon, whomst is his sister, a passionate kiss on the lips. What?
I have an answer, and you're not going to like it. So I found a quote from Cassavetes, who originally had no intention of being in this movie whatsoever. He was on set literally to hound John Travolta to come finish his ADR work for the movie they had just finished together. I think it was Cassavetes' second movie. Doesn't matter. Anyway, he's there and John Woo's like, why don't you play this weird drug kingpin, buddy? And so he's, long story short, they shaved my head, they put me in a goofy outfit, and I'm there for a week and a half. Anyway, on one of the takes, I decide not to tell Gina, but I'm thinking, this guy's a real piece of shit. Maybe he's like an incestuous piece of shit. And so right before she leaves, I gave her a real long kiss. She hated it. She wasn't mad or anything. She just thought it was weird and gross.
Sounds like she was maybe mad.
I think she was mad too. But he was like, I thought obviously John Woo would not keep that in the movie because it's just confounding and disgusting. But he did.
John Woo, terrible director.
Who's the one that did the Hulk? Did he do Hulk?
No, that's Ang Lee.
Ang Lee. That's right.
That guy is a terrible director. Another fun sequel idea. How about this? During this, Travolta gets Cage's girlfriend pregnant. Cage gets Travolta's wife pregnant. They grow up raising each other's children. Those children are raised respectively to be cops and criminals, but genetically, they're the opposite, and you get kind of a Departed thing going on, and then they face off, obviously.
Obviously. I love that. For me personally, and I'm just spitballing at this phase, what if Archer's son, who, to your point, is really Castor Troy's son, they try to raise him up right, but he becomes a criminal anyway. And then same thing, opposite, Castor Troy's kid, they try to raise him up, but somehow he just becomes a straight shooter and DA.
Oh, I love it, yeah.
And then they face off. But why are we... But in that movie, though, who's switching faces and why?
Oh, Garrett, there's no shortage of reasons or excuses to have these characters switch faces.
Maybe it's an unrelated face switch that starts with Archer's kid, who's a criminal now. He switches faces so his dad won't be ashamed of the acts he's doing. And then Cage's kid, who's really Travolta's kid, he switches faces to go undercover to infiltrate the terrorist kid. But then Cage and Travolta have to switch faces to get their respective sons back.
I love it. This raises a lot of great nature versus nurture kind of.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're ready, Hollywood. Give us a call.
Absolutely. There's a pretty cool mirror face-off scene before fake Nic Cage escapes and kills Pollux Troy by swinging on one of those. You know how a lot of roofs in this city have like ropes that you can just kind of swing on? He grabs onto one of those and like swings and kicks Pollux through with his skyline, almost landing on fake Travolta, who immediately begins mourning by rubbing his pistol on his head for some reason. Apparently, these guys mourn in the exact same way. And then fake Travolta shoots a disrespectful FBI guy right in the forehead as he comes in and witnesses this. Now, I wanted this to continue on in just a mounting pile of FBI men, FBI bodies that keep walking in on this and just, God damn it, another one.
That would have been amazing. Unfortunately, no. And I do want to mention, when there's a bit of a tete-a-tete, there's like a mirror face-off where they try to shoot each other. Castor, as Travolta, of course, doesn't waste a moment to say, oh, by the way, I've been fucking your wife.
And she
She's
likes it.
super into it.
Yeah.
Yep. The big shootout. Victor Lazaro has a heart attack induced by a series of judo chops administered by Sean Archer.
Okay. At first, there's a shot that sort of implies that Travolta can give people heart attacks with his mind. There's a
little bit, because he's having an arrhythmia or something.
It's either that Travolta can hear his heart arrhythmia and keys in on it, or that he's like making that happen. And then he does. I feel like it's the thing at the end of Kill Bill Volume 2, because nobody in this production has heard of an autopsy. And at some point, I swear to God, somebody says that this man had a heart seizure. Is that said? I may have made that up.
That's amazing. Yeah, he does some sort of dim mock, and Victor Lazaro goes down, a.k.a. Wade Gunderson. And so Nicolas Cage, meanwhile, sneaks into his former home for some reason, and Eve is in the shower. Poor fucking Joan Allen gets out, and he's like, hey, Eve, don't scream. I'm not going to kill you.
And she doesn't. But
she definitely should. He sits there, tries to explain, and he's, hey, test the blood. The blood's going to show you I'm not full of shit. And then he smashes a photo with his fist of his own child, takes the picture out, face waterfalls the picture, number 6, before he sneaks back out. Then we cut to Travolta, who's sleeping next to his wife, who's really Nicolas Cage, and she has some sort of like pen syringe. Tim, you familiar with this?
Yeah. She takes a blood sample from fake Travolta while he sleeps. You would think it would wake him up, but it never wakes up Garrett, so I guess this is believable.
I don't like that. Are you worried that...
I gotta know. It's
okay.
Mine's more of a The Thing concern.
I see.
But yeah, so far you've always been human. She goes to the hospital. She finds out that the blood type is in fact wrong, which again, I think that means the face should be rotting off by this point. But fake Nic Cage has also, for some reason, broken into the hospital. He runs his fingers down her face, which seals the deal. She for sure now knows that faces have been swapped. This is what bothers me so much, because the fact that the face swipe is a definite plot point, that's how she knows for sure. That, to me, means that it was written in the script and not something weird that Travolta brought in as part of his character. Now, I agree with you.
That's totally fair.
That it does seem very Travolta. But my other theory is that there is a version of this script where they do show dicks. In the script, like Travolta's character, let's say he has like a very recognizable penis, right? It's a weirdly shaped penis, and that's how they, because like for an audience, obviously, I'm not going to know the difference. So that's how they prove the identity, right? You can't surgically correct a half moon shaped dick, but the censors at CBS at Paramount made them come up with something else. And the only thing that matches the weirdness of a crescent moon shaped dick is the face waterfall, the face swipe.
Sean, your Peyronie's is healed. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember when I said I was having massive surgery? It was dick surgery, not swapping faces with a guy.
Yeah. What'd you think it was? Having my face replaced with the man who killed our child? No.
Why do you keep saying that?
Shut up, Eve. He hits her with number 7. Everybody knows that it's been a fake him. She admits to being carnal with Castor Troy, which would be tough to swallow. Then we cut back to Cage. He's hanging out with Gina Gershon before the funeral, and he almost face waterfalls her. Do you see it?
Yes, I did. Oh, we're missing something here. Before,
what did we miss?
So while they're still in the hospital, so fake Nic Cage, first of all, he tells her the terrible, convoluted story of their first date that sounds Kaiser Soze together. But then before they leave the hospital, fake Travolta wakes up. He's suspicious, and he comes to the hospital with very obvious goons, right? These are not FBI guys. It's unclear why the second in command of the FBI is just walking around with known terrorists as his bodyguards. And his wife, for some reason, Eve just happens to have a patient with a fucked up face as a cover.
Yep.
I'm not sure even why the plot needs it to be something face related, but I guess it does.
for tension, Tim.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, it's very silly. Honestly, if there was one part of the movie I would cut, it would be that. Because it doesn't amount to anything. Other than he's suspicious of Eve.
Yeah, you could just have him be suspicious.
You could have him just wake up after she stuck a syringe in his arm.
Yes.
It's a very strange syringe. It's a metal one.
Yeah.
Where do you get something like that, I wonder? Anyway, so then there's this little moment where Cage kind of apologizes to Gina Gershon for being such a terrible human being. He almost goes to face waterfall her before he catches himself, and he's, no, that's even worse than banging her. That's something just for my Eve.
Oh, his daughter.
Anyway, then they all get dressed up and go to Victor Lazaro's funeral. It's at some sort of outdoor Catholic church, which it turns out is a Parks and Rec building that had been abandoned, so they turned it into a church.
As you would expect, being an abandoned parks building, it's the most bird-filled church you'll ever see. There are seagulls, there are doves, there are pigeons. All of them are going to block shots cinematically because this is a John Woo film. But yeah, so it is...
It's riddled with birds.
Yeah.
I read some production notes from the art direction team that initially John Woo was like, hey, I want a bunch of pigeons in this church scene. And they were like, no, absolutely not. And he got real sad. They said he got like real sad and looked at the floor and was like, okay. And then the next day he was like, hey, John, I will get you your pigeons, but only on the condition that we are not going to do a second take because of a bird. If a bird fucks up your take, that's in the movie, bud, because I ain't got time for bird retakes. And he was like, great. No problem, as long as I can have my birds. And I think it shows that story's 100% true.
Absolutely.
Everywhere.
Yeah, and these are not well-trained birds.
No, not at all. And what's great is, even as a 14-year-old watching this movie, where I'm the most accepting, I'm the most on board, I've seen the least amount of movies at that point. This movie is a 10 out of a 10, would rewatch. Even that kid is, boy, this is just a lot of birds.
Absolutely.
I feel like somebody would get these birds out of here.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. It's cinematic and it's weird and it makes me giggle. This kicks off, the standoff.
Yeah, well, first, fake Nic Cage, the very well-known, very identifiable terrorist, approaches an altar boy outside and has him go interrupt the service to give fake Travolta a picture of the dead son that he stole from the house, which he then crumples up.
Yeah, that was a pretty strong move.
Yeah.
And then finally these two kind of pair off and they enter a standoff, but then in walks Gina Gershon, but then in walks some goons, but then in walks the goon that came with Gina Gershon, but then in walks Joan Allen as a hostage.
Yeah.
And the daughter's on the way.
Yeah. More people get added to the standoff. It's great.
It's so many people. It's ridiculous. But what I will say is, in the insanity, the melee of it, I think it actually manages to be very authentic. Because I think that in real life, when a bunch of people have guns, at the end of the day, there's not a lot of accuracy and there's not a lot of skill. They're just firing wildly into a crowd.
The shooting starts, Joan Allen, maybe murders a henchman with a chair. Did she smash a guy with a chair?
Oh, yeah, everybody's shooting guns, and suddenly Joan Allen, Eve out of nowhere, who's dressed so conservatively this whole movie. I don't know why I guess she's married to Sean Archer. That makes sense. But out of nowhere, she's just, break. It's fucking solid. But yeah, a bunch of people get shot. I think Gina Gershon dies.
Yeah, and tells fake Nic Cage to take the kid, which is way more fucked up than this movie will ever acknowledge, because he's still lying to her about who he is.
Even in that moment, I get the sense that he's okay.
The daughter shows up for some reason. She ends up falling down approximately 1,400 stairs in what seems like a Family Guy bit.
Yeah, it's great.
Nick and John fist fight atop birds, it seems like. There's some snappy dialogue. The daughter shoots the wrong guy, after which Travolta takes her hostage and finally gets around to sexually assaulting her, before she gives him the old Masterson "no thank you" and stabs his thigh with that butterfly knife he gave her a few scenes back.
And twists.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, that could have been the end of the film.
Yeah, that would have been a great ending. She hits his femoral artery and we're just done.
Yeah, but instead, boat chase.
Yeah, well, they run off. Yeah, the wife is going to call Margaret Cho to explain the whole thing like fake Nic Cage should have done in the first place.
And no one's going to question that story.
Yeah,
They're gonna
well...
go, oh, makes sense.
I think the daughter shrieking, "He licked my fucking face," unhaltingly in the background might help, but I don't know.
And so boat chase begins. We're 2 hours into the movie, and we are getting to a full-on, balls-out, one of the best boat chases I've ever seen. And Tim, I have to say... not enough boat chases in movies.
Absolutely not. They're doing all their own stunts. They shoot at each other. They murder a bunch of harbor police. They use a police boat that is filled with fireworks as a ramp. For Nic Cage's boat to jump John Travolta's boat. And then fake Nic Cage jumps onto fake Travolta's boat. They do a lot of those like really loud punches that the 90s had.
Yep.
And fake Nic Cage does...
anchor fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, anchor fight. Nic Cage does some skiless water skiing before the boat crashes into a dock and explodes and throws them both clearly to their deaths.
It's so great. And I want to say, like, boats are really exploding. People are driving these things. It is really unsafe. That guy barefoot water skis for a while next to a speedboat. It's amazing. All these things happened. It wasn't those two, but these things happened.
Yeah, somebody
before
did
they
this.
are flung out of the boat. And they have yet another tussle that ends with John Travolta being pinned against a wall as Nicolas Cage, who's actually Sean Archer, attempts to shoot him with a harpoon. And Travolta does a really good job of stopping the harpoon. It's very clever. And then before he can be killed, starts to carve up his own face. So he's like, whenever you look at the mirror, you'll be thinking of me.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Great stuff.
But also
and
not,
Nicolas Cage.
it comes to nothing because you can clear those scars up pretty easily, apparently.
With today's modern day antibiotics and anti-inflammatories, Tim, healing takes days, not weeks.
We don't have days. The bomb's going to explode.
The face-off, no pun intended, comes to an end when Nicolas Cage literally kicks John Travolta in the nards and shouts, "Die!" and then has a seat and weeps next to the corpse of John Travolta.
Yeah, as he's been harpooned through the chest. I forgot this movie hinged on all of this.
Yeah, it's great. FBI arrives. They call him Sean Archer. At this point, his quote-unquote microchip is loose, and so he sounds a little bit more like John Travolta. They wheel, I love this, they wheel them into the same ambulance.
Yeah. I believe it's so that they can get the shot of him stealing his wedding ring back. Honestly, he should reach over and just tear that face off that skull. It's barely tacked down.
One of them should have reached over and killed the other. I don't know. I don't care which. One of them should have reached over and murdered the other. Honestly, I do care. I wish that at that moment, Nic Cage or Sean Archer had woken up and murdered him. And the movie continues, but whatever.
Yeah. We don't know he's dead.
We don't know he's dead. And it's also just bananas they would wheel them into the same ambulance.
Yeah.
You're never in an ambulance with another person
It's not
unless
wide
it is
enough.
literally a 9/11. Cut to what I assume is 7 to 10 days later.
Yes, and there have apparently been plenty of surgeons who can do this face swap the whole time. It's not rare or difficult.
Oh, yeah.
And they also fatten him up nicely.
Of course. And Travolta says, I used to have this scar right here. I don't need it anymore. Which no one could care about. Yeah, whatever. And the best part, the craziest part, the least believable portion of the entire film is that Travolta comes home and it's clear that no one's seen him since the day at the boat chase.
Yeah, he has to take a taxi home from the hospital.
And Joe Dowell is just, I wonder if that's my husband who recently had a face swap in a deadly boat chase across the LA harbor.
Yeah.
I think it is. So he comes in, sun's streaming behind him. He's the angel that he'll later play in Michael. Jamie comes running in. She's no longer wearing black, Tim, because she's healthy. Everybody's growing. And if all of that weren't crazy enough, Travolta lays a face waterfall on Jamie. It's the 8th of the movie. She apologizes for shooting him. He's, no problem, sweetie, as long as you don't dress like a whore. Then, Tim, in walks a child. Castor Troy's child. Gina Gershon begged Nicolas Cage to raise that child, and Sean Archer's gonna fucking do it. But couple things. One, Jamie face waterfalls the little boy.
Yeah, she
our ninth face
immediately
waterfall.
molests that face.
Not untrue.
This is their son, right? He's just coming home from his assignment of 6
coma.
years. But they need to keep a close eye on this kid, if not, because he has the DNA of a murderer.
Absolutely. But the last thing I will leave you with in this movie is that it implies that he didn't even ask his wife.
He didn't ask anyone. He didn't tell them because he was just kind of hoping. He's just like, I'm sure. Listen, they're gonna be fine. This is not gonna bring up a bunch of horrible memories and cause us all to need family counseling and individual therapy as we re-grieve our son because you brought some other kid in. Was just like, can we keep him?
I don't even know what that means. What do you mean graft our mourning onto that little boy?
Like a face.
Do you think that's Castor Troy? No, Sean, I don't. I think it's a little boy that we are not emotionally equipped to raise. God, amazing. Tim, how did this do?
Pretty well. This grossed $245.7 million off of an $80 million budget. It was the 11th highest grossing film of 1997. It was beaten by Titanic by a lot. The Lost World, Jurassic Park, Men in Black, Tomorrow Never Dies, Air Force One, As Good as It Gets, Liar Liar, My Best Friend's Wedding, The Fifth Element, and The Full Monty. That last one is, of course, a British comedy about 6 Sheffield gentlemen that decide to become male strippers, and it made $257,1997 on a $3.5 million budget. The film landscape has changed quite a bit in the past 30 years. More importantly, though, Garrett, this movie inspired the 2002 Hong Kong film Infernal Affairs, which went on to inspire Martin Scorsese's The Departed in 2006. This movie, or The Departed, owes its existence to this movie.
That's fucking awesome. Tim, what do people think of it?
People love it, Garrett. This has a 93% positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes Tomatometer. Average review of 7.8 out of 10, 82% on Metacritic, and an average B+ on CinemaScore. Not high enough. But after that, Garrett, I went to our weekly check-in with the IMDb prudes. The IMDb Parental Guide. This was rated mild by parents everywhere in terms of sex and nudity. They said breasts are painted on a bomb. A man and woman make out, followed by sexual harassment of women is depicted several times to several women, with no response from them other than mild confusion at most. It's treated as completely normal, with no upset by the recipient, even in an opening scene where it appears to be a teen. While this could be a reflection of the archaic 90s, it's still an important talking point, especially regarding consent. Mild.
Archaic 90s?
That hurts. I agree. For violence and gore, this was rated severe. A man is pierced through the stomach by a harpoon gun. A man with a shard, tries to cut his own face off. In parentheses, blood shown.
I love these.
Profanity, severe. There are uses of 77 fuck. Hell is used 8 times. Ass is used multiple times.
Wait, so I'm sitting here counting face waterfalls and these guys are counting asses?
Yes. Yes, they are.
That's amazing. Also, how have we not mentioned that they swap faces?
Alcohol, drugs, and smoking was rated moderate. The villain smokes throughout the film. A teenage girl is caught with cigarettes and they are taken away by a man. However, later she is given a cigarette by the same man and they smoke together. Several male and female characters snort cocaine and powder from pills. One character is extremely disoriented after this. Last one, frightening and intense scenes. This is rated moderate. A standoff occurs in a church and it, and the moments leading up to it, are tense. The prison sequence is very intense and it goes on for over 30 minutes, followed by 2 characters have their faces removed and placed on one another in a graphic surgical procedure. One character wakes up after the procedure without his face, and we see the bloody result for a moment in a reflection. Moderate.
Moderate? Golly, but as long as there's no boobies.
Well, there's those cartoon boobies, Garrett.
That's true. They don't love those, but we can deal with it.
Yeah.
America.
There are 8,167 total ratings on Amazon, 4.7 out of 5 stars on average, 83% 5-star, 2% 1-star, not high enough. Julie Ryan from 2013 said, I purchased this movie for my husband. He loves the movie. It's a classic and must-see for any Nic Cage fans. Fun action movie and a good, though far-fetched in my opinion, plot. One thing we love about this movie is that they thought of everything. I love to quote-unquote poke holes in the plots of movies, but Face Off has an answer for every plot hole I tried to point out. 5 out of 5 stars by somebody I think might be an idiot.
Well, obviously they're stupid as hell. There's that one plot hole. It's in the title. I'll give you a minute.
Oh, Michelle Huss from 2015. This is one of the last movies Cage did where he did well in acting, except for Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance. I really enjoyed Cage's performance in Spirit of Vengeance. Between Face Off and Spirit of Vengeance, something happened to Cage, and his acting became less his performance of other people than him in front of the camera. I do not like it when I see the actor/actress. I want to see who they are portraying. In this movie and in Spirit of Vengeance, I saw who Cage was performing rather than Cage himself. Before Face Off, he was an outstanding performer, 5 out of 5 stars.
God, Spirit of Vengeance. No, stay tuned there.
Nope. AK Smitty, 2014. This is a good movie from back in the day when great movies were made. A mixture of science brought to the screen with Hollywood fictional flair. The kind of thing that propels young minds on to create great futures by taking the theoretical and making it a practical reality. It goes on from there. 5 out of 5 stars. No.
Worth transplanting faces, Tim.
Do you think they were inspired to do so by this?
Yes.
Fair enough.
I choose to believe so.
Fair enough.
Don't you want to live in a world where somebody got a new face because somebody somewhere at 15 was like, one day, I'm going to make this real?
Okay. Yes, I do. The last review, Garrett, this is from 2024 by Terry Baugh. It's full of action and intrigue. It also reaffirmed my belief that when a person shows themselves to be evil by choice, they should be exterminated. 5 out of 5 stars. Terry Baugh.
What does that mean?
If you are against what she believes to be good, you should be exterminated.
My goodness.
Yes.
So definitely you and me.
Almost certainly, yes. We should get on Terry Baugh's good side.
Yeah. Tim, who's this for?
Everybody, Garrett. This should be viewed and enjoyed by everyone. They will not appreciate it like we do, but they should watch it.
Yeah, I'm not one for mandating things by the state, but if we're going to start doing that, let's get this on the list.
Yeah, and we will, so...
Alrighty, final thoughts, Tim. Having come through it again, we'll say easily my 57th time watching this movie, what dawns on me is just how infinitely rewatchable and enjoyable and rewarding it is for the viewer to return to the world of Face Off.
Yeah, it's not quite on the level of a 1998 Godzilla, but it is super rewatchable. To be clear, I don't think either one of us is saying that this is a good movie necessarily. I want to reiterate, this is a dumb movie. It may even be a bad movie, but that does not stop it from being a great movie. These things can be independent.
Yeah, and simultaneous. Or maybe it's just a great movie.
Yes.
We just don't know what good and bad is anymore. Because this is great. Alrighty, folks. Tim, I guess we'll ask it just because we do on the show, but you don't hate it, right?
No, of course not, you idiot. Do you?
No.
Do you hate this movie?
No.
Okay.
Fool, why would you even think to ask me that? All right, well, we did it, folks. I hope you enjoy, as always, the special Patreon exclusive Why I Love This Movie episode. They're not usually that glowing, but hey, if you're going to talk about a movie, what better movie than Face Off? Come and join us on the main feed. That's Why I Hate This Album, WIHTA, hatepod.com, hatePodMail@gmail.com, hatepod on Instagram, album hatepod on Twitter. I'm G Harvey Tweets, though I don't check it much. And I think that's it for Why I Hate This Album special Patreon movie edition. I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been the other, Timothy P. Richardson, and the real-life role of Glenn Powell has been played by Garrett P. Harvey this whole time.
Oh, okay. We are going to have to cut some of that. Just contractually, we can't have that on the show. Tim, you know what pays for all this stupid shit.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive. The lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides. The cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Gary.